Hello and welcome to Workhorse Wrestling Network. You are gathered with us this fine Saturday morning for the Winner's Circle.
Yes, sir. Here, as always, bright and early Saturday mornings, 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern. Thank you for joining us. If you're here with us, if you're new to the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button on this video, hit the bell so you can be notified every time we put something up on the YouTube channel. If you're with us on Twitch, give us a follow on Twitch. We appreciate it. If you're here with us, chime in the chat, sound off, let us know you're here. We're going to be reviewing, as always, Monday Night Raw, NXT, and Dynamite from this week, and giving you our favorite show of the week. Just kind of waiting for Anika to get here so we can crack into Monday Night Raw. How was your Thanksgiving, sir?
It was fantastic. Although this morning be feeling a little too early for me.
Well, I'm glad it was a nice time. Ours was very quiet. We were originally supposed to be in California, and we ended up not going. So everyone here local had another plan. So it ended up just being us, which is fine. I mean, it was very quiet. Got to watch the Cowboys, and they actually won, thankfully. So
It was a good game too. Micah got the
it,
turkey leg.
it was a good game. It was a good game. All right. It looks like
Micah be
Anika
hitting
might
that.
be here.
Balls.
Hello, Miss Anika.
Hey, what was you at,
All
big
right.
head?
What?
Sammy, where was you at last night, you big head?
My family was like, "Hey, you want to come back over? We want to play games and stuff." And I was like,
We want to play games and stuff.
"Okay."
Uh, All right. So as always, like I said earlier, we're going to review Monday Night Raw, NXT, and Dynamite. And as usual, Sammy Joe will take us through Monday Night Raw. First, from this last Monday, November 25th.
So I
Let's
ended up
get it.
going over, ended up playing aggravation, hand and foot, and we watched the Chiefs game.
I've never played either aggravation or hand and foot.
Okay,
And
real talk. Real question before we start. Have we ever had a Black Friday football game?
No.
no,
No,
not, not
no,
the
because
That's
during
why
the
that just
commercial,
it was a big deal.
no, because during the commercial, we're bringing it back. When did we have
Oh,
it?
I didn't even
I
hear
don't
that.
remember.
I don't remember here. We're bringing it back. I don't even remember there being one.
I distinctly remember, like, when did we have this? We never had this.
After the Chiefs game, we also watched the Snoop Dogg concert, and after the Snoop Dogg concert, we watched National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Because it's now
That's my
officially Christmas. This is how it's supposed to go. After Thanksgiving, then you go Christmas.
My wife
That
loves
Friday
National
after, that's when you
Lampoon's
go
Christmas
full wall to
Vacation.
the wall.
Oh man, the Snoop Dogg concert though, that was awesome. Although he asked the crowd, "Hey, what's my favorite drink?" And somebody in the crowd yelled Kool-Aid. He was like, "Kool-Aid? Man, oh, what's my favorite alcoholic drink?" And then somebody yelled gin and juice, and was like, "That's right." And started up the song.
That's funny. There
Uh,
are 2 songs from the new Missionary album out now, and the 2 that are come out are good so far.
oh man, what a great time we live in. Snoop Dogg. Okay, so Monday Night Raw. We started the show
Yes.
off with Gunther. He was a promo. Um, uh, Priest delivered a razor's edge through the announce table, which pretty spicy. I liked it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, this was the first time that I thought that this worked the way I hoped it would work, which was
Mm.
Gunther came out, talked for very, very, very little in the very beginning, and then Damien came out and basically spoke the whole time, and Gunther just hit him and got it going on site, which I was happy about. Like, finally, he was
Right.
tired of hearing it. I just want to see Gunther just knuckle up and you don't need to talk. Not that he's a bad talker. I just don't need you to talk because sometimes you're a little wordy, and Damian Priest was already a little wordy. So I love the way he just took it, just took it to the action, and then the Razor's Edge essentially through or what is he? He doesn't call it the Razor's Edge. He calls it something else. I forget what it's called,
I
but
think it's still called the Razor's Edge.
oh, okay. I thought he had another name for it, but either way, yeah, Gunther took it through the table, and and now this was the first time I honestly after watching this segment, it was the first time I was really excited for this match. Now today at Survivor Series, so
I
thought they did a
think
good job.
I think Priest is great. I mean, as like good as Gunther is, like Priest might be one of my favorite dudes on the roster, honestly.
Understandable. But yeah, no, this was a great segment, and I do not have the same thoughts of Gunner talking as Wise Man, but he is much better than, yes, him just staring and just staring dagger at Davey while he's just gone on and on about how Gunther's lost the step. Look what you reduced yourself to, attack me from behind. It's like, you know what? Yeah, I'm just trying to hit you. And so I do love the hype they're giving Priest into thinking he can beat Gunther. I do love that.
So up next we had Dragon Lee and Rey Mysterio versus American Made.
LWO. Yeah, yep. Very, very good match.
Yeah, very
Um,
solid match.
so they blinded Rey Mysterio with his mask, and Julius got a roll up pinfall victory.
I can't lie. Like when that happened, I was like, "Hey, is that the first time I've ever seen that?" Because I don't remember ever seeing that before. I thought that was kind of a clever way to maybe do a turn on something old, an interference that's kind of done in a new way. And I liked it. I thought it was kind of cool. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, if you turn the mask, obviously you can't see and you're a little blinded. I don't know if you'd be quite maybe as disoriented as Ray was right away, but at the same time, you definitely would feel disoriented and obviously couldn't see. In theory, assuming, I mean, I don't know how transparent those masks are, but yeah, I thought it was kind of a clever way to do it, and I was happy to see the Creeds get the win here. I mean, not just because I don't like Rey Mysterio, but because the LWO is established and doesn't really need it. The Creeds are trying to become established, and they need wins over quality opponents if you ultimately want them to be one of your premier tag teams in WWE. So I think it's important that they start getting wins over quality opponents. So I like this match. I thought it was very good.
Yeah, and especially after last week when they were fratting it up and hitting each other, they're like, "All right, we're doing all this. You better win the next one." Like, okay, they actually win the next one. I agree with you, ALW, about the whole match, because usually it's whole I'm trying to take your mask off. It's like, no, I'm gonna take it out. I'm just gonna sweep it to the side. Like, oh, I'm like, oh, don't do that. Oh, boo. So yeah.
I wonder.
Yeah, go.
Oh, go ahead. I was just saying, I wonder a little bit about like how does it diminish the Creeds in any way to make it look like it takes Chad Gable to help them get the win? I'm not sure that it does. I mean, they're a heel faction and that's what they do. I just don't want it to become like every time they get a win, it's because Chad helps them get a win and it diminishes their, whatever.
No, well, like, no, because I think because Rey Mysterio is a Hall of Famer, not potential. No, he actually is in the Hall of Fame. Yeah. So yeah, turning his mask, it's like no, because you're a Hall of Famer, we have to step up the game. Is this the end of the feud though? Are we going to get one more LWO match?
Yeah, it's going to continue.
Well, where are we going to go
I've
with
got
it
to
though?
imagine this continues on.
Like, I guess I need an end point. I'm like,
well, how the feud continues on, I don't know, but how the card continues on, I can tell you right now.
What?
So backstage, we had Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley arguing over who the fifth member will be. And personally, I was like, Kairi Sane, like, how's this an argument? Like,
So they threw it out there, and Bianca was like, "We already got too much damage control with Io. I'm good with Io, but let's not do the whole."
So then they bring Bailey. Like Bailey wasn't the founding member of Damage Control. Like really? I know she's not now, but like really? We have too much Damage Control, but now Bailey, because she's no longer currently Damage Control, maybe okay.
So let's not tamper with it. This was before we knew Bailey was a part of the team. This was before it was only 4 people. So now, all right, let's talk about the whole War Games thing, right? So Friday SmackDown, they have officially decided. Yeah, no, well, I'll save it. I'll save it for the last match. But
okay.
Sammy, all right, continue. Yeah, sorry.
all right. So up next we had Ludwig.
Okay, so we're not going to go over because like the one last segment was, yeah, they're talking, and Rhea was like, I don't give a crap. I just want to live. And then Bianca was like, wow, okay, so that's literally you want to be. He's like, yeah. So I want to talk about this moment because they were the face off, and I feel like they were kind of trying to test the water if people still wanted Bianca versus Rhea, and I'm like, I do. Let's not like I still want this match, but we gotta rehype it though. Like it's not like a year or two ago when Bianca was champ and Rhea was just starting off the big mommy thing, and you just like they just had this little subtle glance at each other at the belt. So I'm like, yes, let's be very, very clear. We still want Rhea and Bianca, but you have to rebuild it because she's too into live. She's too Bianca's got Jade and Nia Jax. We gotta we gotta situate all that before we do this again. But yes, I want this again.
Bianca's got
first time
going on. For me, I'm like, I can wait until like Mania 2026. Like,
hell no! What's wrong with you?
They're not even on the same brand as each other, and they got to build a story.
WrestleMania 2026, though.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I heard 6. My mind went to 46. My mind went to 46. The year 2026 is 2 years. That's still too long.
A year and a half.
Roughly about a year and a half away. WrestleMania 2026. Yeah. That's a long time.
That's 18 months.
Yeah, that's a long
still
time.
Too long.
Plenty of time to build it up, and plenty of time to finish what they're doing now.
I mean, I imagine that what's going to happen is that at some point here, Rhea's going to beat Liv for that title and be champion again, and then there'll be Bianca who will face Rhea for that title at some point. I don't know how it all coalesce and come together. Could I just make a comment on how I don't like the way Rhea looks with those bangs and that dark mask on her face? I'm not a big fan.
You don't think that Bianca could be the one to beat Nia?
I mean, I suppose it's possible. I mean, I don't know. I have a feeling that what's going to happen, and I don't know what it looks like, and I don't know that I'm necessarily here for it. We'll have to see. It wouldn't surprise me if somehow they just leave the title on Nia until Jade comes back, and Jade is the next champion.
So, all right. So a little side note of the interview. Jade did get hurt. The last information about that was it was because she got hurt for real. And then now they're talking about no, it's all the work. It's like okay, my head hurts. I just want this match to happen at Mania. So
both Wrestle Talk and I think it was Fightful were saying that she is actually injured. So I don't know, but.
Yep. And then I want to say I just watched the last Wrestle Talk from Friday, and they're like, well, it could be, or because we thought, what's the crackhead's name? Dave Meltzer was like, oh, it's all a work. And it's like, I don't want this much information. I don't want this much.
I guess I don't. If it's a work, why? I mean, what are you working? Like, what purpose does it serve to have Jade be injured and go out if she's not really injured and off TV for? I mean, they were talking about her being off potentially for like 3 to 6 months. I mean, why would she be off that long if she's not? If there's something else going on, she needs to take a break. Whatever the case may be, who knows? But I mean, if there's nothing really going on, then it makes no sense to me. That doesn't make any sense. I mean.
I guess the best part, I guess the most feasible logic is the pop when she comes back, and I can't deny that the pop when she gets back. If you're on a good tier in your career, the pop when you get back, no matter what, it's going to be hot. So maybe that's why Royal Rumble, you hear Stormer's coming. I wouldn't mind that at all.
I find it interesting. I mean, to write somebody off if they're not injured or they're not actually something going on. Seems to me like a weird thing to do, especially with someone that in theory should be one of your best women's wrestlers. So
yeah.
to just put them on the shelf for no reason for 3 to 6 months just to get a pop down the road, like that's bizarre to me.
But the flip side of it is, I don't think she likes. Okay, let's say that she's not injured. This might be because she don't like cages. I say that because last year she was in the elimination chamber, and they're like, "Oh, we don't want to put her in there." And now she's not doing the work. And I'm like, so this is a preference of I don't like. And hey, if she don't think she'll be getting a cage match, then let's rock on. But maybe that's why too. I don't know, but yeah, I'm like, because we definitely were like, oh, she should be in elimination chamber, and she wasn't.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Ludwig Kaiser versus Braun Breaker for the Intercontinental Championship. It ended in DQ though.
So
thanks to Sheamus.
And
who came down and attacked Kaiser. He wants Kaiser bad. He's frothing at the mouth. He wants Kaiser. I know I talk bad about Kaiser on here a lot. I'm going to say something. I thought he was really good here. I thought he came off really good. I thought this match was good until Sheamus got here. This was the first time I actually looked at him and thought, okay, this guy might actually have something. Like, I was like, okay. And I thought to myself, fuck it, just fun. Let's burn it down and put the title on him and just see. Just to see, like, just to switch it up. Not that Braun hasn't been good with the title and he hasn't had it that long, but just to do something totally different. And so I'm not necessarily opposed to that. I don't think that's going to happen, but I'm not necessarily opposed to that. And I thought he was really good here. And I'm actually interested now in Sheamus and Kaiser a little bit. So he turned my head this week. Let's put it that way. I thought he did a really good job.
Well, I feel like they're doing what they were supposed to do months ago. Because I remember, like, this was especially what you call it. This happened months ago. Same recipe on repeat of Sheamus interrupts one match and Ludwig interrupts another match, and eventually we'll get triple threat. I think we didn't get it because Ludwig got hurt. Unfortunately, they're like, "You're good. All right, we're doing it now." And so here comes Adam Pearce. I'm tired of all three of you fighting, so we're going to do a triple threat for the Intercontinental Championship. I want to say it's at War Games. Oh, sorry. Survivor Series, but they might as well just switch to War Games. So I'm like, I'm finally glad that we're actually going to get the triple threat because we've been waiting for it. Well, yeah, for a couple of months. So this is going to be pretty good. I'm actually excited about that.
I am interested in the idea of Kaiser becoming the champion, but Gunther losing his title. And so you have, for the first time, Gunther's having to be with a dude who's champion. Meanwhile, Gunther's not the champion.
I could see there could be some meat on the bone there. That could be fun. I could see that.
It could be fun. It could be fun.
A little downward spiral mentally for Gunther, losing to Damien, and then having to watch Kaiser with the title and Kaiser being all cocky about it. Like I could see that.
But I'm gonna say no because we also did the same thing about when Jay was Intercontinental Champion and Roman was not, and before I'm like, so they weren't gonna do it with that. I don't see them doing it here. You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
yeah.
Next.
Backstage, we had Finn Balor trying to convince everyone to follow his lead.
I'm not gonna lie, like during this, I thought to myself, is there a Is there a
What?
less exciting main event faction anywhere? Like I'm looking, and I love Finn Balor. Don't get me wrong,
Yay!
and Carlito is okay, but other than Dom's okay, but other than that, like even those two, like they're just not. It's like wow, these guys they're just nobody's there. They're just I don't know. For me, they're super boring now. I don't know. They were
Um,
so much better with Damian and Rhea. I don't. It's my
What were you
personal
gonna say,
opinion.
Sammy?
uh, I got a few things to say. R-Truth is freaking gold. Judgment Day doesn't have any leaders, so.
Really?
Um, and as for Rhea and Damien, like they don't really need the group. I feel like everybody who's left in the group like actually needs to be in a group of people.
Understandable. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, that's what made them, but that's why Damian and Rhea were so great because they don't need the group, and so they added that extra. But you're right, they don't. Whereas all these other mid card guys, except for maybe Finn, actually need this group. So yeah, I don't. Yeah,
Like no, we always say about the we call it the aura from being a part of a faction. Like Roman doesn't need the bloodline, but when he has the bloodline, it just creates the whole character. Like sometimes you just need, sometimes you don't need it, but just having that little special flap of the cape makes the aura just that much better.
in fact, there's nothing wrong with most of these people. I just don't care. I'm watching them thinking this is just not the
Like,
year I care about.
what is this? Why am I watching? Yeah.
All right, what was next?
Backstage, Sami Zayn revealed CM Punk and Roman Reigns will sit down and hash out their issues ahead of Survivor Series.
Yay!
And we
Tune
watched
in.
SmackDown. It was, very cinematic. It wasn't the cinematic beautifulness that was Cody and Roman on the Georgia Tech football field. But I don't think CM Punk was that dude where he's like, I don't. He's like, and when they probably offered him to do something like that, he's like, no, I just need backstage. I just need a table. It's fine. It's like, all right, bet. It was cool.
Just need a table and let me sit.
It's a table. And of course, like, hey, let's be honest with each other. I don't like you. I don't like you either. I'm here for Paul. Okay. Like, but if you want to talk about this another time after the war games, let's do it. I bet. Yeah.
I got a real hard time getting invested when it's two guys I really don't like at all. So that's my feeling about it. I mean, it is what it is.
You want
It
to
just
see
isn't.
Roman beat up CM Punk?
It's not bad. I mean, it's fine. They're both good at what they do. Like I said, I can appreciate that they're both good at what they do, and whatever. I just don't like them. So I mean, it doesn't. For me, it's and I don't care for segments like this in general. I'm not a big fan of these kind of like sit down segments, whether it's contract signing, whether it's whatever. I'm not a big fan of these in general.
All right. Up next, we had the match we've all been waiting for: Finn Balor and Big Head versus
JD McDonough. Y'all are not gonna do that to that man.
Scrappy Doo.
I'm not gonna do that to him. He deserves better. This was a great match. This was very, very good. And of course, War Raiders. How can you not? And even though, they need a little bit more sprinkle on the dust. JD and Finn in the ring, they're gonna give you what you want. Point blank, period.
Well, I mean, I thought this was very solid. I mean, you're trying to, I guess, to revive a little bit of the tag team division. It's fairly non-existent, and I thought this was a solid tag team match. I mean, all four of these guys can wrestle, and that, I like the War Raiders, and thought it was solid.
How'd y'all feel about the finish, though?
I liked it because
Ivar by the beard.
I thought you were talking about that part and Kalito coming out and Dom coming out. I liked all of it because even though street finishes, you do too much, it's like boo. But I love that it took all of that to beat the War Raiders. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't like, oh, we beat them clean because we're that good. No, the War Raiders were a big deal. So we do need all of Judgment Day to beat these guys. I do love that aspect. And if you're going, hey, if you're going to tackle Bianca's braid, then yes, I can tackle your beard. Yes, that should be a yes.
If you're gonna do screwy finishes or interferences in matches, it works best when it's a faction that's involved and they're coming out to help their teammates. That's when it works. Like it doesn't work when it's just your next opponent or the guy that has a grudge with you. Like those are the problems. Those are the ones I have more of a problem with. Like this makes sense for them to come out and help. This is classic Judgment Day. I'm not a big fan of it per se, but it is what it is. And yeah, don't yank on my beard, dude. I mean, but you're right. I mean, if you're gonna yank on Bianca's braid, you gotta be able to yank on Ivar's beard. So, or Eric, was it Eric's beard or whoever's beard it was? But yeah,
Ivar.
Ivar. All right, Sammy's still there? Do we lose?
Yeah, I'm
All
here. Up next, we had the New Day versus Alpha Academy. Although Alpha Academy's new shirt says Alpha Babes, not Alpha Academy. So
I like that though.
Did they change their name? Are they Alpha Babes now?
They're Alpha Academy, but I'm pretty sure Otis said called Mandy Babe or a lot of people Babe. So I'm not. I actually like that.
I mean, I haven't heard a formal name change yet, and they called them Alpha Academy when they introduced them to the ring, but I did notice that shirt too. Well. Are you going to tell us about the segment, or you just want to jump into it? Because this is
a great match. Alpha Academy.
Segment first, because beforehand.
Doesn't segment come after the match?
No, before. So they do the whole reel of 10 years of New Day, and then Kofi and Kofi and Xavier was like, you know what, man? It's been 2 years. I love you. I love you too, bro. We're gonna get through this, you know, because we New Day, right? And then like, all right, good vibes. Here we go. And here comes the match where, of course, so it's pettiness. It's so much pettiness. They're like, who's gonna start first? And of course, Xavier wants to start first, and Cody's like, no, I'll do it. And like after that back and forth, Otis like, how about this freaking clothesline, both of you? And then they try to get together, they didn't get together, and then Santon from Akira Tozawa, and it's like, oh no, 1, 2, 3, Alpha Academy wins in less than a minute, within a minute.
You're breaking up a little.
Oh. Breaking up or actually with pauses. I'm not sure which one it was. But it's like, oh shoot. Alpha Academy beats New Day in less than a minute. And I love that for them because I do love the group and I do want them to get wins. And like Xavier and Kofi are just stunned. Go, Sammy. And then I think this is the segment you're talking about. Yeah, so now this segment happened afterward.
Backstage, there was an argument between the New Day. So Kofi Kingston said, I was a Hall of Famer when you met me.
Pause. Yes, he was. Because I was looking at a podcast about, were you? Yes, he was. I don't care about how people felt about it. Kofi by himself was a good thing. I had very much fun watching Kofi matches. 7 times a freaking tag team champion. Intercontinental champion, yes, even though it was, yes, I remember all of that. So don't do that to Kofi. Yes, Kofi was going to be a freaking Hall of Famer by himself, yes.
Yeah. What I had a problem with was what Kofi said next.
Oh, no.
I didn't ask to join New Day. You asked me. And if you know the story of New Day, that's not true.
Are you sure?
Xavier Woods didn't want Kofi in the group.
Oh, full story. Yeah, full story. It was with Brian Saxton, and they said no, then they asked Kofi. Now the part I remember was Kofi asked Big Show should he do it, and Big Show was like, no, stupid. But yeah, the original three was Byron Saxton.
But when
Big
it was
E.
brought up to Xavier Woods to ask Kofi, he was like, I don't want Kofi in the group.
So two things can be right. So Xavier didn't want Kofi, but Kofi did not ask to be in the group either. That he was suggested to the group. So two things are right. Continue with this.
But they didn't bring up the fact that Xavier didn't want him in the group, and I feel like that's a linchpin in the story.
Well,
if you include that bit,
yes, but I don't think they ever talked. Even though kayfabe is I ain't gonna say dead, but it is on life support. They didn't say anything about this in front of the camera. So when I say in front of the camera, on the television show in the ring. So for me, that might have been too fourth wall-y, right? I think I've been breaking the fourth wall a little bit too much. So I'm okay with them not bringing it up now.
I mean, it's just real life. Is there really breaking the fourth wall in wrestling?
There's still a fourth. Like I said, it's kayfabe's on life support, but I do appreciate trying to hold on to whatever importance of kayfabe there is. So I'm not mad that they didn't bring that up. They didn't need it though. They had a whole lot of ammunition from both sides. If you continue.
Woods brought up Kofi losing to Brock Lesnar, and the crowd goes, ooh.
The whole lot. So it was that, and then Kofi went back and said, this is why me and Big E never told you to run the plays, because you're so reckless. Ooh, okay, side note. The oohs reminded me of a freaking high school drama, and there's kids in the background during a fight. Ooh, ooh, oh! I'm like, okay, is that the audience, or is this piped in? Because this is hilarious. This is almost a little bit too hilarious. But yeah, and they're like, it's like, so that's why you've never been a champion, and that's not on me, man. It's like your uncle, your favorite uncle, and your dad fighting. It's like, stop. No one said to do this. And so it was like, yeah, and then Xavier came back and was like, well, for my recklessness, you wouldn't have been champion because you never take risks. And it's like, stop. And then Kofi was like, man, was anyone else? Like, what? You would actually get bad, Kofi? And then Kofi was like, I'll see you next week, bro. Like, I'll see you next week. Big E, where are you? You can't tell. I'm pretty sure kayfabe wise, he's been calling both of them. But I need you on television now. I need you to fix mom. I need you to fix mommy and daddy, uncle and daddy. This is stupid. I don't like this. It's a good segment, but I don't like it.
You can see if Big E is at all present next week.
If he's not, if he doesn't come back next week, what are we doing? You don't have to wrestle, but you have the 10th anniversary of New Day, and he's not there. Player, come on. He's going to definitely be there. I'll put money on that.
I mean, I thought this was well done. I'm here for Kofi versus Woods. It escalated real quick from being pretty nice before, but and both of them said things I'm sure that they, if it was real life, would wish they hadn't said. But for the purposes of this, it came across great. And yeah, I mean, I'm here for this feud. So
they're close, and they're close, right? So I'm pretty sure they approved all of this, but I wonder backstage when they're writing this out, they're like, all right, can I say this about the 6 seconds? All right, but I have to say this about you not winning the championship. Okay. All right, how about this about your mama? I'm like, it's like having that conversation is probably hilarious to them. It's like, stop.
Yeah, I mean, when Kofi said you're just not good enough, I was like, oh,
Oh,
ooh. I mean,
like,
I'm torn. Like, I like them both for different reasons, and I honestly don't know like who I would want to come out ahead in this feud. Um,
yeah.
I mean, I think it feels like
Probably Woods.
Kofi's.
I think he's got more longevity to him. Kofi's been riddled with quite a few injuries and stuff. Kofi's also older.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason
Kofi's a
that
former world champion.
I mean, the reason that I think I kind of want Woods to come out of it is just because I think he needs it more than Kofi.
Yeah.
Kofi's already kind of been there, done that to a certain extent, and Woods hasn't really had that opportunity.
He was king of the
So,
ring.
and that's really about it. I mean, so other than their long run as tag team champs many times over and over again, but yeah, as a singles competitor, he's definitely been the lesser of the two when they've gone out. So I mean, it would be interesting to see Woods. That being said, I'm so torn. I like them both equally. I mean, I don't really have a preference over either one of them. So, but I'm here for a solid feud and some good matches. So,
Yes. Next.
So next week we will be having a tournament for the Raw Intercontinental Women's Champion.
We have predicted this, even though I am opposed to having two titles because you don't have a lot of women. Tournament, yay! We were talking about this last night. You can't really screw up a tournament. They tried Cream the Ring first year, but typically you can't screw up a tournament in any capacity.
I mean, I don't have a problem with this per se. I mean, if you're going to only have, if you have 15 women and only 3 or 4 you see as ones that are really viable for competing for the one title you have, then you got to do something in theory to keep the other 9 or 10 interested, at least, or us interested in what they're doing if you're going to put them on TV. So, and a way to do that is to have them revolve around another belt. So, I mean, to a certain extent, it makes sense. I mean,
I'm not going to complain about it this week. I'm going to wait until next week when we see what the tournament bracket looks like, and then I'll complain about it.
Exactly.
Well, because I think we all agree, the United States Championship for women on SmackDown. Oh, that's so good. They got some really good people that I really want to have that belt. So,
right.
Raw, you got some contenders, but we gotta build people up on Raw more than we do on SmackDown. No offense, no offense.
Like I'm not looking forward to Sonya Deville or Ivy Nile or Zoe Stark.
They don't really stick to the brand split, but
you don't like Ivy Nile.
Oh.
They don't really stick to the brand split too well, but in theory, you do have a brand split. So, I mean, it doesn't hurt to have a mid card title on Raw. If indeed you decide to ever do away with the brand split officially and quit pretending like you have one, then you do technically have 2 mid card women's championships, and I don't know that there's enough to sustain both. Well, I mean, time will tell, but they like to try to continue to do this brand split. So, in that case, Raw should have a mid card women's title probably. So. And it's nice to see a women's intercontinental championship. The men's has been, a great title over the years. So
a lot of pressure.
We'll see. Yeah,
a lot of pressure.
So we had backstage segments with The Miz and Final Testament, and it all ends with Nikki Cross attacking Scarlett Bordeaux.
I laugh because the whole Karrion Kross comes back into the dressing room, and what's old girl's name? Scarlett. Who did this? Who did? It was Nikki. It was Nikki Cross. This is stupid. This is so clever. But hey. Bo warned all y'all. I didn't ask to do this, but y'all made me do this. So everybody go get it. Everybody, even your girlfriend.
I thought this was fine for what it was. I mean, Miz makes Final Testament somewhat interesting. I'm not 100% engaged in the Wyatt Six versus the Final Testament. I'm more than I was, but I mean, it's still not like, oh my God, I can't wait for those segments. But at the same time, they haven't been bad either. So, I'm willing to, I mean, I don't have a choice, but I'm willing to let it play out as far as my opinion goes and see where it ends up going. I mean, I don't, again, with the
So
Miz involved, it's definitely better than it was, but
you got a heel group and a I'm not sure group, but the I'm not sure group is acting heelish towards the heel group, but like they could still be the baby faces, all due to the line of I didn't want to do this.
As long
yeah,
as they're hurting other heels, they're baby faces. If you start doing the baby faces, that makes you the heel.
I mean, the idea that the Wyatt Six would be the babyface in any situation is bizarre, but I guess it
I
is
mean,
what it is. I mean,
They're vigilantes right now. They're vigilantes.
I mean, on the other side is Karrion Kross and AOP.
yeah, they're definitely not faces either. So I mean, no, I mean, definitely not. I mean,
Mhm.
it's a weird. I mean, it's a weird situation. That's why I don't. I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if the feud works, but it's what we have, and that we'll see what ends up becoming of it. I mean, they really haven't done anything exciting yet per se, and we'll see what ends up happening. I mean, I
I
don't know.
think we gotta treat the Wyatt Six like tweeners, where like we should expect them to go both ways.
Yeah, I guess it's all dependent. Like Anika says, it's all like Anika says, it all just depends on who they're in the ring with this week or at that particular time or feuding with, right? So they're feuding with a heel faction like the Final Testament. I guess technically they're the faces, and if they're feuding with the face faction, then they'll be the heels, I suppose. It's weird though. Like I don't know.
So I'll say
It's
this.
weird to have someone that's supposed to be like creepy, kind of anti-norm, kind of on the fringe, be your baby face, but
Well,
okay.
like it's like a dude beating another dude down, just like you did this. Why are you making me do this? It's kind of way.
Hey, you say they're vigilantes, but what are they fighting against? I'm not,
They're fighting
People who
against
turn their
bad.
backs on family.
Yes,
okay.
we're all for family, and you never turn your back against the family.
Okay.
That's my Italian accent. I had put in my
You
mouth.
remind me of that freaking Alabama joke. Oh,
I'll say this: with any feud, it has to end well. The last match, the last little nail in the coffin has to be really, really good. So I'm hoping whatever this leads to ends well. Not unfortunately, not like Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt. Unfortunately, I hate to bring it up, but it's like that, and then that ended wrong because no one knew the ending. Like, how do you do a feud? You don't know the freaking ending. What the freak? So hopefully they know the ending of this feud.
All right. What was next?
the main event.
Let's get to it.
Really? 2
Uh,
hour Raw. Come on.
it was Bianca Belair versus Nia Jax for advantage in War Games.
Mm-hmm. This leads to another good Nia run. Another chip on another feather in her cap, because this run has been splendid. I do want her to go until WrestleMania. Nia versus Bianca. It's no brainer, and that's why I really, even though I do agree, I want more meat on the bone before we get to WrestleMania, story wise, building up this match wise. But I want this match, and you want to add Jade. Jade. If you want to add Jade Cargill in there, yes, you triple threat. But in any capacity, it should be Nia Jax versus Bianca Belair, point blank period, for the belt. Of course, Nia being a powerhouse, dominating Bianca. But Bianca, her freaking not gorilla press, but power slam. Nia off the top rope. I'm like, you're not even scratching the surface. Y'all are holding back on me. Give me more. And then I think okay. So Nia tries to cheat. Nia tries to cheat using the turnbuckle because the little padding flew off, and then Bailey comes and saves Bianca. Team babyface girls get the advantage. Now let's talk about it, right? Okay, so we were watching SmackDown, and I have been saying up till now, oh, they're gonna give us a reason why you're on the team. You're gonna give me a hash out conversation between Bianca and Bailey, and they didn't give it to me. I'm like, come on, okay. I've been trying to defend the women's division on WWE in general, right? I'm like, no, they're not. No, they're not. They're not writing out the story well, but at least they're giving opportunities. And it's like this time, I'm like, all right, come on now, come on now, come on now. I'm not asking for a whole dramatic, Samoan bloodline court to find in favor of Bailey joining the team, but I do think you should have a conversation of, okay, if she's joining the team, let's talk about I still don't like you. At least do that. The pay-per-view's tonight. So we're just gonna be like, all right, we're on the same team. Yay. It's like you do storyline wise, you have to do better than that. You have to do better than that. You had Bianca not liking Bailey up till now, and I'm all for that. I'm all for holding a grudge. But you now we're on the same team. They're not gonna talk it out just a little bit. Come on. But I am glad Bailey's on the team.
You know, you don't have the same issues between Roman and CM Punk that you have between Bailey and Bianca, but you already have this kind of let's hash it out and talk about it and see how we can all coexist going on with that one. I mean, you want to just duplicate and do the same thing with the women? I mean,
honestly, I would rather have them do it than CM Punk and Roman. Because
that's fine.
Yeah.
But just do one or the other. You can't do both, right? I mean, you can't do the same story for both. So switch it, and I'm fine with that. It does make more sense to have the women have that sit down than it would to have Roman and CM Punk have that sit down. So,
or you don't even have a sit down. Just acknowledge that, Just acknowledge, hey, we're on the same team. I don't like you. This is why. Or at least say, like, okay, so the segment was Bailey just came and helped Bianca. At least say, hey, like let it be Naomi that called Bailey and say, hey, even though Bianca don't like you, we need you, girl. Come and help out. At least do give me something. It doesn't have to be a whole segment. Just give me 3 minutes of why Bailey came and helped old girl out. Like, come on. I'm trying. Like, yes, I know I wronged you. I'm trying to redeem myself, and I know you're the last little thing I had to do to prove that I am worthy again of whatever. Like something.
I would like to say I am enjoying the Roman Reigns memes. They're pretty good.
They always are good. Since he's been Tribal Chief, that shit, I'm not sure if you get money off of memes or gifts, but if they did, he would have enough to have a very nice vacation for all the memes and gifts he had as Tribal Chief. He definitely would have, yes.
But I got one. You go into the dentist office and the receptionist doesn't say good morning, and then it's Roman Reigns. Acknowledge me.
CM says, nope, I'm not acknowledging nothing. I agree. There will be no acknowledging here. No, I mean, I thought this was a solid main event. I'm happy to see the women getting the main event. Nia and Bianca have good chemistry. I feel like they work well together.
They do.
I enjoyed this a lot, and I thought that it did what it was supposed to do, which was ramp up to Survivor Series War Games tonight, which I'm excited for. So, yeah, or this afternoon, actually starting at, I guess, 3 or 3. I think it's either 3 or 3:30 Pacific. But we will be here live for watching, so make sure and join us for that. But yeah, no, I mean, I thought this was a solid go-home show for Raw. And I enjoyed it. I there was some solid wrestling this week. I gave it a B. When I said I gave it a B.
A B as well. A B as well. We're still working out the kinks of a 2-hour Raw, but for this week, it was more wrestling than promos, if I'm not mistaken. So they'll always make the great hider. So a solid B. Yes.
I'll give it a B
CM said,
minus. Much better than last week.
I'll give you that.
CM
Yeah.
says, so for 4 years?
4 years what?
She's talking about Roman Reigns. She has to be talking about Roman Reigns with the belt, right? I mean, that's.
Yep. So for 4 years, kind of we're going towards 5. All of gifts and memes of Roman being tribal chief. Yes, happy, great. 4 years of tribal chief. He's lost a belt, but come on, just because he lost a belt, don't mean that he ain't the tribal chief. Point blank. Period. Let's go.
I mean, the only thing meme worthy before that was him getting hit in the back with the chair, but I feel like that's more of a Seth Rollins meme than it is a Roman Reigns meme.
So I'm gonna say, okay, my favorite meme, we're gonna let it go, is they're like, when your big brother, when you get in a fight with your big brother, and he's like, so it's like Roman talking about Sammy, what you're gonna do is you're gonna come in here, apologize to me, and they're gonna just let it go. No, like, yes, and like, as a sibling, that rings so much true. We're not gonna have a talk. We're just gonna apologize, especially if you're the big brother, and we're just gonna let it go. But what's your? Yeah, you gave it a B minus.
Minus.
Minus. So Sammy gave it a B minus, but said it was better than last week. So
Yeah.
B and B minus for Raw. So and
Last week
so
it got
we
a
will
C
switch.
from me.
Huh?
Last week I gave a C. Last week was stinky.
Yeah. We will switch gears and move on to NXT from the next night. We're continuing to move towards deadline. The announcers made a faux pas that stuck in my head the whole time that I couldn't get it out. He was all, "This is the last, this is the last NXT before deadline," and I'm thinking to myself, "Are they not having one next
I'll
week?"
be back. I need to bundle up. I'm cold.
All right. But they are. It was just a faux pas. But the whole time it stuck in my head, and I kept hearing them say that. I kept thinking, what is going on? But needless to say, so we open with a recap of Ridge Holland beating beating Andre Chase in a heartbreaking loss, and then Chase used music hits, but it's not Chase U, or it's not Andre Chase, I guess technically. It's Ridge Holland, and he says, "I told you so," and he says he's coming for Trick in the title at deadline next
So
Saturday.
disrespectful.
What do you think of this?
So disrespectful. So disrespectful. You didn't have to do it's too soon. You didn't have to do this. Very disrespectful. You didn't have to do this, Rich. Ain't nobody tell you to be this petty. Okay, we get it. You're gonna be in the match. You don't have to do it.
Sammy said he was cold, so
Yeah.
I mean, Rich Holland this was a decent promo. This was intense.
Yeah.
It was to the point. I liked it. I thought it was good. I feel like he's getting better on the microphone. In the ring he still needs, developing, but that's why he's on NXT, and so I thought this was fine. And I mean, I wasn't a big fan of Chase U, so I don't have a problem with kind of the dismantling of Chase U. And I mean, I think Trick's gonna win. At least I hope Trick gets the win. I
He
mean,
better win.
I can kind of maybe see an avenue where Ridge wins, but I don't think he's ready for that spot yet.
Hell no.
But at the time when Trick won the belt the first time, I wasn't 100% sure. I thought he was quite ready either. So, it is a developmental show, and like we've said before, you do like to just try to throw some things at the wall and see what kind of sticks and works, and see where people thrive and don't. I think Trick's probably going to win. If I was leaning one way or the other, I'm leaning towards Trick. But I could see Ridge Holland definitely being NXT World Champion at some point. I think that's coming, probably in the near future, whether it's beating Trick down the road or not, or somebody else. But so, I mean, I thought this was fine.
I always wonder.
Anything you want to say, Sammy, about it? Oh, sorry, Nika.
Yeah. No, I was just saying, like, I wonder who's advocating for Rich Holland like this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying he's a bad wrestler. I am a grudge holder, so I am thinking about Big E every time I see him. But I'm before that happened, right? Decent enough aura about him. Like, I just wonder, yeah, like who's like, you know what? Ridge is worth all this attention. This Ridge is worth all this opportunity.
He's okay.
He has the aesthetic look that WWE likes, and he's an okay talker. So I can see why. I can see why they would want to try to continue to develop him and push him. At the same time, I mean, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I mean, I'm not saying that it has, that it's not. I'm just saying that it's been a little slow developing. Let's put it that way.
I don't see him ever winning a mid-card championship.
On the main
Now,
roster.
see, I would give him a mid card. Well, on the roster,
On NXT, sure.
Yeah. I would definitely put him for the North American Championship before I do this.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, Sammy's probably right. I mean, he's probably not long for much on the main roster. So, I mean, in theory, probably, stay on NXT is probably where what he should do. I think that's where they should keep him. But so this is just my little background. We've had a little rub between Axiom and Frazier wanted to do the Iron Survivor Challenge, and Axiom was like, well, pay attention to our titles as tag team champions. And in the meantime, we've been having now for 2 weeks, and it continued this week, all the tag teams basically fighting through every show, through the whole show, trying to, I guess, declare themselves as the ones that get the next opportunity. In the meantime, though, tonight, Axiom decides he's going to throw his hat in the ring for the Iron Survivor Challenge and has a singles match against Ethan Page for a spot in the Iron Survivor.
And Ethan Page is gold. Like, oh, dude, that promo he cut on it was Nathan Frazier.
Probably,
yes.
Yeah.
Where he was like, your tag team partner is the one who's been carrying the weight. And he responded with, he's not carrying the weight.
Yeah.
Maxim's just looking over like, what you saying about me?
Let's see. So Ethan Page gets a win with a clothesline. They went a little over 15 minutes, though, and it was a really good match. Just proving that both Axiom and Frazier are really solid wrestlers. I enjoyed this. I thought this was good. I mean, I thought this was a very good opening match. I'm not surprised that Ethan Page got the win here. I mean, as a general rule, I would tend to say let the younger, kind of newer guy in Axiom, the underdog, go over, but they're tag team champions, and Nathan Frazier and Axiom have enough going on.
And
Ethan
they've
Page
also
is right
been
for the
in the
Iron
company
Survivor
for half a decade. Meanwhile, Ego is like been there half a year. So
and he should be in the Iron Survivor.
If you don't watch other shows, you just watch WWE shows.
Right.
All Ego Ethan Page is the new guy.
Yeah.
And you're lying to yourself. Yes. Some people this might be the first thing of introduction of Ethan Page. But if you're a wrestling fan, you've seen Ethan before. Don't do that. Shut up.
If you're a wrestling fan, but there's a lot of people who only watch WWE. Yeah. The numbers prove that. There's a lot of people who just watch the WWE shows.
Yeah, but like when you see we're talking about this one collision, there are people who just watch WWE. But for the most part, a lot of wrestling fans watch both. Especially people who clown the other, like, so how are you gonna clown the other company you haven't seen it?
I also think that there's, as shown by the popularity of stuff, i.e., like, Fightful and Wrestle Talk and our 205 subscribers and True Heel Heat, even if there's a lot of wrestling fans that pay attention to what's going on, even if you're only WWE watchers, they listen and pay attention. So you hear the names of people that are doing good stuff in other places. So chances are good you've heard the name Ethan Page, even if maybe you hadn't seen him wrestle, because all you watch is WWE. So But yeah, I mean, I don't. No, Ethan Page is right here. Post match, Ethan Page brags about his win, but Frazier says Page hasn't won anything yet. And the two of them have a little back and forth. Axiom is annoyed. Wesley and Javon Evans come out to say they're going to win. And then here come all the tag teams to brawl again with Axiom and Frazier through the, basically through the remainder or through the end of that segment. So it got a little convoluted at the end, but I thought this was a very solid segment overall.
You gotta have
Post
your
match and
people
everything.
up. Yeah.
Next, we had Lola Vice and Stephanie Vector bickering about who is going to win the Women's Survivor Challenge. And then Ren interrupts, and Lola is not happy and says she's going to give Ren a beating later in the night. Before we get to that match, though, we have Nikita Lyons and Ashante at a table. Nikita says, "You texted me." Ashante says, "No, I didn't, and I'm not interested. I'm kind of interested in Carmen." And then Nikita makes some comments, and then here comes Carmen all pissy and basically throws a fit about Nikita being there. Nikita does some shady stuff. And then, I mean, I've been railing hard against this storyline from the beginning. This particular segment is a little bit better than some of them have been in the past.
It
I
still
didn't
brings
think
down
this.
the show.
I didn't think it was as bad as some of the stuff with Dion and Brindley Reese. If you're gonna do soap opera-y stuff, this is more. I like this better than the other stuff you were doing. So, in a vacuum, this was fine. That being said, this whole Ashante backstage with whatever woman it is, and I'm just not interested. The story has been bad from the beginning, and it's yeah.
At least they're not doing it to Josh Briggs anymore.
That is true. Anika, anything you want to say about this segment? And Miss Nikita Lyons?
Do I have to?
No.
Okay. No. I will say this: if we're gonna have Nikita Lyons on this roster, yeah, put her right here. Put her right here. This is the word per spree of trying to steal someone's man. Whatever. All right.
Being like, no one wants a skinny bitch like you, anyways. Yeah. It's a good spot for
her. Let's see. Get the Zeus reject off my screen.
Hey, come on
now. So next we have Ren Sinclair and Lola Vice in a is it the actual Iron Survivors Challenge match? It is. And Lola Vice gets the win in a fairly short time. I wouldn't say it was a squash match, but it was definitely a Lola Vice showcase. Ren Sinclair, I mean, it was the first couple minutes. I guess they had a little bit of back and forth, some technical stuff, and then Lola basically hit her with the spinning back fist, and it was over. I didn't necessarily have any problem with this, other than the fact that, and I guess maybe it's got to be for her personality because she doesn't get any wins in the ring. She barely wrestles at all and gets in the ring. But like you have no quarter catch crew on NXT every week, and you've got Ren Sinclair doing stuff every week, and then you have her taking loss after loss after loss. So I guess it's not her wrestling that you care about; it's her personality that you want on the TV screen. So which is fine. I mean, don't get me wrong; like she shouldn't necessarily be beating Lola Vice, and Lola Vice belongs in the Iron Survivor match.
Oh, yeah,
but
absolutely.
That being said, I just think it's weird sometimes the way they do some things, because it felt like for a minute there you were pushing Ren Sinclair, kind of, at least in some regards, and then I don't know. Anything you guys want to say about this match for this segment?
When that fight got picked between the two of them, I was like, Ren, you need to stay in your lane. Don't mess with Lola.
So I'm hoping the story is she sucks as a wrestler. I'm hoping is that she's gonna go on a losing streak, and one final training from Charlie Dempsey or William Regal is like, okay, baby girl, this is what you need to do to get better. She finally gets some good training, and she finally wins a big one. I'm there for that. Where it's like, oh, the North Quarter Catch Crew is this professional wrestling group, but she's the only one who sucks. So if you're gonna tell a story, tell that kind of story. That would be hilarious. Where it's just she's like, I can still do it. It's like, can you? Can
Tim
you
says,
still do
I
it?
forgot Ren Sinclair. I'm not sure. What are we supposed to remember? Because I guess maybe I forgot. Did she do something? Do you
Or
guys know
or
what CM's talking about? Or just
Or
like
just
in
forgot
general,
that
like
she. They're gonna say, okay, existed
she said,
feels
I
hard.
ain't forgot about Ren Sinclair. So it almost sounds like maybe there was something that had happened before that. Nope. Let her be a joke forever. She's all right then. Ah, all right, next. So post match, Lola Vice called out Jada Parker for NXT Underground. You interested in Lola Parker and Jada Parker, or Jada Parker and Lola Vice for NXT Underground?
Listen,
In an
Sounds like a good
underground
match.
listen, we've already seen Lola Underground versus Shayna Baszler, and that match hooped.
Yeah.
Jada Parker, it should be good, right? Hopefully, okay. I love these two together. Fight for a chance, maybe, but I do need them to have a break from each other. So if this is the last match for a minute, then yes, I would love this to be their final crescendo and match. Where it's like, okay, you and me. yeah, okay, all right, you and
So
me.
this is why CM is so important. Not to interrupt, but because she always remembers and always has this stuff to say. I had no idea. What did Ren Sinclair even say about Bianca's hair?
Let's not
Do you
do this.
remember, Anika?
I vaguely remember, but I think it was more. I think it was something enough to get her kicked off television or something real
Okay,
stupid like that. Of course, they all say
interesting.
stupid like stuff like that.
Yeah, so yeah. So there you go. That's why CM doesn't like her. So that makes sense. All right. I'm trying to finish what you were saying. I didn't mean to interrupt you in the middle of what you were saying.
No. I was saying, yeah, I fight forever. I can kind of see this for Lola Vice and Jada Parker, but I do think they need a break from each other. So after this underground match, and I do think it's going to be good, decent to good. Yeah, let them take a break from each other. Let them move on to something else before fighting again.
That her hair is unreal, that her hair is real, unlike Bianca's. Okay.
Puffer.
Okay.
So here's the thing, right? Your Twitter fingers or your computer fingers are real good in the throat, but when it comes to face to face, you know you're gonna say this crap. And you know your hair, like, we can see them at your little back crack, crazy looking hair. It's like you gotta wash it every day. That L'Oreal ain't working for you, baby. I need you to do extra conditioner. Leave the whole 10 minutes, not 1 minute. I know y'all like to do a little speed wash. Do the whole 10 minutes. I'm sorry.
He said you can't be stupid and suck at wrestling in 2024.
Just like you do it online. Because the face to face, you know you're gonna get your behind waxed.
All right,
Continue.
next we had Tony
And there's
D'Angelo.
also a limit to the other two as well. Like you can't be too stupid and you can't suck too bad at wrestling.
Yes. Tony D assures Rizzo that his knee is okay after last week's beatdown. Anything about this little segment? I mean, it was very short here. So anything about this?
Short and sweet, though. Short and sweet. And then we'll talk about it later, but I love how that influenced his match with Sean Spears. Tony D
So
is good.
So next we have Brooks Jensen and Spears backstage talk about how they're getting ready to get the North American title from Tony D. So those two work together. And then Fatal Influence has a little segment where they call Tatum Paxley a freak, and that basically Fallon Henley is going to beat her tonight in the main event to retain the North American Women's Championship. Anything about this Fatal Influence little segment you want to say? Either of you?
Are we gonna do anything with Tatum Paxley? Like, is this a thing? Like, she went and she challenged Jordan Grace, but like,
do you want them to do something with Tatum Paxley?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not necessarily so far a big fan of like the weird, crazy Tatum Paxley. It doesn't necessarily do it for me.
She gets so much TV time just to lose all the time.
This is true.
At the same time, I think I can kind of see what they like about her. Like, she's not bad. I just am not a big fan of the new crazy little role. So I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
I think the crazy role works for her though.
Sam
It
says,
makes her different, and she's not generic wrestler number 5 anymore.
Sam says, I mean, there are some folks that I legit worry how they breathe and wrestle at the same time. All right. Let's see. Then we had Tony D versus Sean Spears for that North American Championship. Um, Tony D finishes him in a
Finish
little
him.
over 8 minutes in a very solid match. I enjoyed this. You know, Tony D is slowly, not wouldn't say slowly, but he's becoming a star. I mean, I'm here for it. I like everything they're doing with Tony D. I wasn't necessarily the biggest fan of the stuff with Oba where he talked about being scared, and at the same time, I thought he kind of turned it around the next week and ended up conquering that. So I guess to a certain extent, it makes some sense. But they're doing a good job with Tony D overall. And I thought this match was good. I'm happy to see Sean Spears back. What did you think?
I like it how like NXT can like introduce people, and I'm like, oh, this dude's a joke, and then like they completely prove me wrong.
Yeah.
Same thing happened with Trick. When Trick first debuted, I was like, who's this guy? Like, he's making the mellow segments worse. But then he kept improving and getting better, and now Trick's like one of the best dudes on the entire NXT roster.
CM says, real question is, do you see Spears, Ethan Page, or Lexis King doing much out of NXT? Not Spears or King, unfortunately. I do think Ethan
Well,
Page,
King's still up in the air, but Spears, no.
yeah, I think Ethan Page will end up on the main
Mhm.
roster. I don't know what he'll do. I mean, we'll have to see what that looks like, but I think he'll be on the main roster. And for me, Ethan Page is good enough to get a spot on the main roster and actually a storyline. So for me, I mean, I would like to see Ethan Page on the main roster. But yeah, Lexis King at this point, no, should stay on NXT. And Spears, yeah, is probably not destined for the main roster.
I could easily see Ethan Page challenging for the mid card championship and potentially winning on the main
Yeah,
roster.
yeah, yeah, I could definitely see that. Anika, anything you want to say?
Don't know what the freak happened with my tablet, but yeah. I will say this: um, Sean Spears and Tony D, yeah, they should be on the roster. They should be on the roster. I love both of them. I love what they're. It feels like even though Tony D is a great star, they're not pushing him too fast.
Hmm. Yeah, they're letting him slow cook a little and actually do. Oh, we lost her again, but she'll be back. Yeah, I think she was. She's right. They're basically kind of letting him slow cook and pay his dues and earn. Make his name. So
Like a
all
pot
the more
roast.
reason why I assume that if they're well, not if, but when he ends up on the main roster, he'll be Tony D. Otherwise, you've wasted. I mean, if you change his name or change his persona, like you've wasted all this time that you spent building him up. So, um, yeah, we'll end up having to see what they end up doing with him. But we had. Let's see, but then after the match, Spears and Brooks Jensen. Oh, I think he's back. Let's see. All right.
You know, you know what
Did
made
you
me
want to finish
great?
saying what you were saying?
Yeah, no. Look, okay. Real quick. Yeah. I love that Tony D is not being rushed. It feels like living in the moment of Brock Lesnar 2003 and they just put the belt on him and everything. I'm like, what the frick are we doing? That was I still don't like that. Even before even before I knew everything about Brock Lesnar, I'm like, hold up, why are we putting the belt on this new dude? We just found him and everything. So I think I taught everybody a lesson of let's not push people too fast. I love the trajectory of Tony D and building him up to be ready. And Sean Spears, yeah, give him more TV time, please. That's all.
Post match, Spears and Jensen jumped D'Angelo with Nico, the driver from a few weeks ago, joining in. And then they all kind of look at Rizzo. The tag teams are still brawling in the parking lot and through a
Look
wrecked
in his
car.
butt.
This has been going on for 2 weeks. I don't. Okay. I mean, at some point, something else has to change, but I guess it's fun to just see them fighting periodically throughout the show. I don't know. Let's see. Then we got Andre Chase sad to leave Chase U for the last time, but someone calls to him.
What?
Anything about what's going on here before we get to the next Iron Survivor Challenge match?
Interesting
All
enough,
right.
because interesting enough because we all asked, what do you do with Chase U without the universe, without the U? So, all right,
Yeah.
let's see.
Let's see what ends up happening. Yeah, and we'll see what ends up happening with all of the students. I assume
Yeah.
it's Thea and probably Thea and Andre Chase are the only ones that are really gonna stick around. I don't know what you do with Duke Hudson or Riley Osborne if they're not part of Chase U, but I guess we'll wait and see. Let's see. Next, Women's Iron Survivor Challenge match: Julia versus Kalani Jordan. In what I will say, I think was Kalani Jordan's best match I've seen her to date on NXT. Now, to be fair, she's wrestling a megastar in Julia, one of the
This
best
is true.
women's wrestlers on the planet. So, at the same time, like it looked to me like Kalani raised her game as opposed to Julia really carrying her. Um, but again, I thought this was a very solid match. I think it's Kalani's best, that even when she had the North American title. And of course, it's with Julia, so that's got to say something. But Julia did get the win, as she probably should, um, and moves on to the Iron Survivors match. But I thought this was very solid, and Kalani Jordan is slowly I'm really starting to like Kalani Jordan. I think she's becoming. Every time I see her, I like her more and more. What about you guys?
I,
What do you think of this?
I want to heap some praise onto Julia for not just like coming in, dominating, beating women. No, she's having good competitive bouts with the women she's facing. And
Well,
like,
like, now I'm
It's
not
the most
sure
dangerous place in WWE, the NXT parking
ever,
lot.
ever. Honestly, if they want to use that for other segments in what you call it in Raw or SmackDown, yes, definitely do that. But no, when they asked what they were going to do with Julia and Stephanie, they're like, we're not rushing them. I think that's what they meant when they said they're not rushing them, because you when it comes to NXT, still developmental, and you're still trying to what you call it help people out and train them. You need a benchmark. And Julia and Stephanie are a very, very great benchmark. So yeah, let them stay here for a minute to get your girls up to par, and then let them go. Like I said, Iron Strippers aren't, and either you're gonna suck or you're gonna be great. And I am glad that most of these girls are not looking so out of place with Julia and Stephanie. You know, it's like it could have been it could have been a whole different thing where it's like, oh God, you suck. Like, okay, no, you
Yeah,
don't suck. You should
yeah,
you should definitely lose, but you don't suck. Yay. Okay.
because like when Asuka went through NXT, it felt like she just dominated everybody.
I mean,
yeah.
like that was the Goldberg, but done right. Yes. Wait,
Next
okay,
we had it.
real
Go ahead.
quick. I'm watching on my TV and I'm behind. I'm watching the parking lot. Why old boy in the window? What?
Right?
They're fighting around the car. There's a body on top of the car. There's a dude through the window. What? Okay, next.
Next, so we get a segment with Ava, where she is talking about she's making a multi-person match between all the Iron Survivor qualifier losers for the last spot. Axiom and Frazier, they will defend their titles at Deadline against the winner of next week's tag team battle royal. So all this brawling is leading to a battle royal. And then at the end, this Eddie comes in, starts yelling. Eddie Thorpe comes in, starts yelling at Ava, even grabs her arm. And then she gets knocked down in some hoopla. Go to break, we come back, and Shawn Michaels is not happy. HBK grabs Eddie Thorpe and shoves him into the roller door and basically says, "Don't you ever put hands on Ava again." What do you think of this whole segment? Pre-commercial, post-commercial? What do you think of this Shawn putting his hands on Eddie Thorpe? Is this actually going to lead to something, or is it just a one-off type of? I mean,
Look,
what's going on here?
look, y'all keep wanting my baby back in the ring. He got in the ring for Saudi because it was money. Let's call a spade a spade. It was $3 million. Heck, I can't. That's kind of hard to turn that money down, okay? But no, my baby is actually tired of wrestling. He does not want to wrestle anymore. But as a stand-up, okay, so Ava's the general manager, and I guess Shawn Michaels is we'll call him CEO. But yes, in this is what you're supposed to do for your employees, especially if you're your women. It's like, bruh, cause you didn't have to grab her. You have to grab her. You get and so in the segment, and first I want to talk to you. It's like Ava's like, I gave you another chance. What do you want? What do you want, bruh? All right, you got another chance to get back into this freaking Survivor Series match. So what more do you want, bruh? Go about your business. So yeah, you touching me, even though it was a misdirect action. Keep your hands to yourself. And that's what my baby was trying to tell him. Keep your hands to yourself. You don't touch her. Very glad it was Shawn Michaels and not The Rock. Let's call spade spade.
I mean, when everything is scripted, right, and it's all pre-planned, like there's got to be thought behind the things that you do, and I'm just curious what the ultimate goal is behind having Ava knocked down by Eddie Thorpe, and Eddie Thorpe being accosted or being, basically threatened and checked by Shawn Michaels. I guess is it just to make Eddie Thorpe look like a jerk? Because he didn't really necessarily even come off like a jerk. I mean, he did, but he didn't. I mean, it's not like he tried to do anything to Shawn or anything like that. So the whole thing is weird. Like, I just don't know it. I mean, I know you have to have segments and stuff to fill your show. You got time and all this stuff, but it doesn't. It seems like I said, when you're scripting everything should have a purpose, and there should be reasoning behind why you're doing it. And I'm just wondering what the reasoning is behind this, or if there is any. Maybe there isn't. Maybe it just this was kind of a fun thing to do just for this one segment and call it good, and it is what it is. I mean, I don't know.
If I could pontificate, Eddie Thorpe isn't a real villain right now, right? He's just in between. Right. So maybe I'm gonna, if I had to guess, I think they're trying to build towards him being a real heel. Or it's like after one more little encounter, he's just gonna snap. He don't give a crap about who can get it. I think that's what we're leaning towards with Eddie Thorpe.
Okay. I mean, I guess that makes some sense in that regard. So, yeah. So I guess that explains why they would choose to do that. Next, we get Trick Williams out for a chat. Trick says that Ava's being checked on by medics, and that it wasn't that big of a bump. She should be okay. Before moving on to Ridge Holland, ending Chase U. He talks about all sorts of people that have been given have given all their all for NXT, people like Carmelo Hayes. That's why he can't let Ridge Holland become NXT champion, because everything those people have fought for would go up in smoke. And then here comes Ridge, who says controversy follows him everywhere. And then, of all people, much to my dismay, here comes on the Titantron, I guess we're still calling it, Mr. Eric Bischoff, who has to say he wants a closer look at NXT and is going to do something to make Williams and Holland want to destroy each other. I still don't know why Eric Bischoff is here. What did you think of this segment with Trick and Ridge and then Eric Bischoff? Anything?
I guess it's cool that Eric Bischoff has come to NXT, but it's for a week. He's just a special guest, and is he really that big of a special guest at this point in his career? He's been gone for how long? And
right, and Is it cool? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know I hate everybody, so it is what it is. But I'm not a big Eric Bischoff guy. I never liked Eric Bischoff, so like,
I mean, I like Eric
I
Bischoff, but like, I don't see how this would be better than, say, a Teddy Long coming, because
yeah, I
Teddy
mean, I
Long's
don't.
coming out and he's like, "All right, since I'm here tonight, you and you're going to be competing in a tag team match, and you are going against in the main event. Oh, my family, holla at you, player." And then Mosey's on out. Like that, I see how Teddy Long could be good. I don't know what Eric Bischoff's gonna be.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I don't know. Miss Nika is back. What do you think of this trick segment where he talked about a couple things, and then Ridge came in, and then all of a sudden Eric Bischoff is making an appearance on NXT?
Look, I don't know if Ridge got the freaking internet tired. I'm gonna say what I'm saying about you. I don't care about you. I don't like you. Either way. So this segment don't want to go back way far, but it's like when they when Trick and even Paige did a segment to hype up their match at Halloween Havoc, and we were all
Right.
confused, like what's going on. This is why, because it's like, what was the approach for that promo? And we know you can. I know we know you can do a great job. This was a great job. This was a great job because, like, right now, that's really more Rich's character of, oh, you don't know what's going on with you. You like you snapped or something, but you, but what you're not gonna do is destroy NXT. And then that little pause where you talk about everybody who's been in NXT who was great, and he's like, Carmelo Hayes. It's just like,
You and
oh,
Carmelo
yeah,
Hayes.
keep it there, because when eventually you get called up, that should be your first program, or at least your first acknowledgement. Eric Bischoff, it's Eric Bischoff. It's like this is one of the things of knowing stuff because you like wrestling, so you watch all the background stuff. If you're just watching this, I'm pretty sure if you're just like you're an old fan, you came back, this is like a good pop, like, oh snap, Eric Bischoff, cool, bet. But we know too much about Eric Bischoff to be this excited.
I've never liked Eric Bischoff. I always saw him as, for me, one of the real downfalls of WCW, and I really don't like him being anywhere around my NXT that I'm enjoying at the moment. So I really do hope it's a one-off and that he just comes and does whatever he's going to do for the Ridge Trick match and then leaves. Explain to me how Eric Bischoff is a WWE Hall of Famer. Like, he's clearly a WCW Hall of Famer, but what has he really done in WWE to justify being in the WWE Hall of Fame?
So thankfully, when Vince is not being a douche, WWE Hall of Fame, just you don't have to do stuff all the way in WWE. They do highlight people who are just wrestling legends. It's very, very few, but they do. And when he came to WWE, that whole SmackDown versus Raw, that was a good time.
Yeah.
That was a good time. Even the cooking that him and Stephanie did. I am talking about, like, it was kind of hard after the Attitude Era. Them going against each other definitely helped. It definitely helped.
Wasn't he a general manager on Raw longer than he was the head of WCW?
Was he?
No, I don't think so.
He might have.
That can't be right.
He got fired
maybe
in 2005.
Maybe so, but wow.
Well, okay, I'm sorry. Kayfabe fired in 2005.
Okay.
No. Cause I want to say he got hired. He got, again, air quotes, hired as the manager for Raw in 2002. So that's 3 years. So I'm gonna say no to that. I think one more year in WCW than he was on WWE. Because I remember when we talk about the new general.
It is what it is. I mean, again, there's real no brick and mortar for a WWE Hall of Fame. It's all just out there in the ether, so you can put anybody you want. I mean, you have brick and mortar, you can put anybody you wanted. But I'm just saying, like, it is what it is. I guess you're right. I mean, they do put in a lot of guys that only had a drink of water in WWE, but they're famous for other stuff in wrestling. So
2002 to
fits that bill.
2007. I went to his Wikipedia page. So yeah, it was only 5 years.
Okay, yeah. It was, but I said it was a
And
good
I
time.
would argue it doesn't matter. He could have been general manager for Raw for 100 years. The time that he spent on WCW, he was way more of an impact and involved in whatever than he ever was as a general manager on Raw. So for me, Eric Bischoff will always be a WCW guy.
Yeah, I definitely concur. Even though, like I said, it was a good time though. Like I guess one of the best moments was.
Correct me if I'm wrong. He's not in the Hall of Fame as a singles person. He's in the Hall of Fame as part of NWO.
I just know they call him Hall of Famer Eric Bischoff
but
when they refer to him.
His ring is for being part of NWO. I believe.
That makes more sense. I mean, that makes more sense. That I'm okay with. So, and again, I mean, not that it really matters. Even if you have a brick and mortar, you can still do what you want to do. But when you have a brick and mortar, even less, it's just out there in the ether. You can put in anybody that you want. So it doesn't really matter. They're not taking up any physical space. So let's see. Charlie Dempsey tells Ren Sinclair that she's in a last chance qualifying match next week with the rest of the people that lost their Iron Survivor qualifier matches. She's a little nervous, but we'll see what that comes out like.
You can do it.
Next week, along with Eric Bischoff, will be his fellow NWO cohort, Mr. Sean Waltman. X-Pac will be on NXT next week. So my guess
that's a dude I think should have a Hall of Fame ring for his singles career as well.
1, 2, 3,
no doubt about that. 100% about that.
He should have 3 Hall of Fame rings.
Okay. NWO, DX, and as a singles wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
King of Rock, the King of Rock.
I mean, I can see that. It's going to be interesting. I'm imagining when Eric Bischoff says he's going to do something to ratchet up Ridge and Trick, it's going to include X-Pac in some ways since he's going to be there.
See, don't say that. You was old.
Well, I mean, why else would they both be there at the same time? Why else would they both be there at the same time?
No. I thought Eric Bischoff said ratchet. I'm like, don't say that. You
no. I'm saying that. I just feel like turning up. I didn't mean ratchet like that kind of ratchet. I meant like turning it up, ratcheting up the volume, like the whatever. He said he was gonna. This is what Eric Bischoff said. He said.
I knew what you meant, but I still heard it the other way, and I.
Thank you. It was just like, don't.
He says, "I'm going to do something to make Williams and Hollins want to destroy each other." That's what Eric Bischoff said. So my guess is somehow X-Pac, because he's here, is going to be involved in that in some way, shape, or form. So we'll see. We get
I'm guessing it'll be that 3 falls match, like what they did with Adam Cole and Johnny Gargano.
Yeah, I can see that.
Where you ended in the cage with all the weapons along the edge of the cage that you climb up and you grab a weapon and you use the weapon.
Yeah, I could potentially see that. Let's see. Main event. Fallon Henley versus Tatum Paxley for the North American Women's Championship. In a solid match, Fallon Henley retains her title with a famouser at a little over 10 minutes. I mean, again, it's a developmental show, and these women are still developing. Fallon Henley's getting better. I actually like Fallon Henley now. She's starting to grow on me a little bit. And I think she's actually more exciting with the belt than I think Kalani Jordan was, which is unfortunate because I really like Kalani Jordan. So I'm taking anything away from her. I just think she's doing a good job with the belt so far. And it's making Fatal Influence a little enjoyable to a certain extent. And I'm happy to see the women get the main event spot. So I will say real quick before we talk more about this, and this is totally on another tangent, but it caught me. I realized that we haven't seen Oba Femi since he lost the belt to Tony D. And it just dawned on me. I was like, where is Oba? So that's not to interrupt this match. It was a solid main event match. Again, Tatum or Fallon Henley retains with a win.
It's
Tatum
too many
Paxley looked
H's.
good. What were you gonna say?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. What do you think of this
So,
match and anything about Oba?
so with Oba, I have an idea. I have an image in mind. I'm not sure how I like it or not, but if we don't see him for more, two things are happening here. Either number one, they're keeping him off television so he can have a big pop at Royal Rumble, and I'm all for that. Or number two, they're keeping him off television so we forget about him, and so when he comes in and like whatever last match Trick has and clobbers Trick to finally get the one-on-one match would be a huge pop. It has to be either or. And I like either one, right? Because like if he like no offense, he's not. We talk about the in between time, the meantime, in between time. If you don't have anything for him, I do like Access Make the Heart Grow Fonder, and so he comes, it'll be a huge pop. So I'm okay with either one. It should be either, but as long as it is either one, right? Like if it's nothing, then it's like, boo, what are we doing? But if it's either one, then heck yeah, let's go.
And we're back to that same conversation we had earlier about holding somebody off of TV just so that the pop is big. Like if they're healthy and they can go, like that seems odd to me. But at the same time, I mean, I guess it is what it is. I mean, if that's what they're doing, then I mean, okay. But yeah, I mean, I assume Obafemi's going to have. He's going to be NXT champion at some point. I wonder if he's injured or something. I mean, I haven't heard anything, but it just seems odd that he was gone because he was on almost every week doing something, at least giving a promo or something. So it does seem a little odd that he's been off. But
Well,
I guess, like you said, I mean, distance makes the heart grow fond. So
Fonder, but yeah, absence. But no, I'm going back to the Royal Rumble, right? When Carmelo Hayes' music hit for Royal Rumble, it wasn't a big pop, and I think because they were using him too much on SmackDown, so he didn't have his dramatic debut like
right.
Like the other NXT superstars. So it's like, okay, don't do that. So like lesson learned, don't do that no more. If you're going to let them debut at Royal Rumble, let them not be on TV at all, and then get the pop. So if they're
right.
doing
Absence,
that,
not distance. My bad. You're right.
No, you're good. You're good. If they're doing that, I like that idea. I like that idea.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll end up seeing. What do you think of this main event match and Fallon Henley getting the win here and remaining NXT North American Women's Champion?
I hope, like, it's weird because, like I said, like, I agree with everything you said. Kalani Jordan is great in the ring. She's very athletic and she puts on a good time. But it's something about heel Fallon Henley and Fatal Influence that makes this belt just a little bit more intriguing. And what's his name? What okay. So Fatal Influence, who's her God, it's a whole lot of T's and H's. What's her opponent's name again?
The one that you. What do you mean?
Tatum Paxley. There we go. I'm like,
oh yeah, sorry. Yes, Tatum Paxley. I apologize.
Yeah. Tatum Paxley, like I said, I agree with you. Also, Tatum Paxley is great. Like this was a good time in the ring. It definitely was, and they made it worth it being the main event. Yes.
So afterwards, Fatal Influence started to try to beat down, whatchamacallit, Tatum Paxley, and here comes Gigi Dolan making her return and attacking Fatal Influence. What do you guys think of Gigi? What do you think of Gigi being back? Are you excited for it? Does it do anything for you?
Duh. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. No, when they did the breakup and they made Jesse Jane the Shawn Michaels, it was like, hold up, wait, what? Gigi's the Janetti? That don't make no sense. We don't see him. It's like, wait, hold up. Gigi is the Janetti? Like, girl, like, no, she's not. She's the Shawn Michaels. So hopefully
it was especially jarring how like the door wouldn't break, so she's just kicking her in the face. It's not going. Like you can stop.
It's
Yeah,
not
no,
like
I mean,
2001 hardcore match with Kurt Angle and what's his name?
Shane
Shane
McMahon.
McMahon. Like the third time, you're not gonna go through the window. You're just hitting her.
yeah, no, I mean, I always thought, okay, well, I guess Gigi was my favorite of that
Yes,
toxic, what was it? Toxic influence? What was her name?
attraction.
Toxic
Toxic Attraction.
Attraction.
Thank you. I was trying
All
to bring
that
out the second one. So
gyrating.
even including Mandy Rose, I always like Gigi Dolan the best. So, and I thought that when they gave the rub to, like you said, to JC Jane over Gigi Dolan, I thought they made a mistake. And so I'm happy to see Gigi Dolan back. I hope that she gets her receipts against JC Jane. I'm here for this. I'm curious to see how it all works out, and I'm glad to see her back. So,
Well, after that angle, they did have a match then, and Gigi did win the match.
right.
JC
Yeah, that is
won
true.
the angle, but Gigi won the match.
That is
Yeah.
correct.
Hopefully, she
So
can
I'm
stay
here for
healthy.
them to run it back, do it again. I think there had definitely been enough time that most people probably forgot that they even had that match. So, but that being said, I thought this was a solid episode of NXT. I think Raw edged it out a little bit this week. For me, nothing against the main event. Happy to see the women get it. I'm just, I don't know that it's strong enough to put it over Raw. And with the Ashante the Adonis stuff and uh, Ava being knocked down, I mean, I didn't have a problem with that. I like Shawn Michaels, like checking Eddie Thorpe, but just the whole thing was kind of odd to me. So I give this a B minus this week. I
Yeah.
gave Raw a B, and I gave this a B minus. This came in a little below Raw this week for me.
These
What about
matches
you
were
guys?
good though.
They were. But at the same time, there wasn't anything I thought other than Julia and Kalani Jordan that really, really stood out. I mean, there were a couple other good matches, but like
Ethan
nothing that I
versus
was like,
Axiom.
Axiom was good. Ethan versus
Yeah.
Axiom was good. But I still think Kalani Jordan and Julia was even better, in my opinion. I mean, I liked it
Yeah.
more. But yeah, I mean, yeah. The wrestling was solid. I just didn't think there was anything that I was like, oh my God, this is amazing this week. So,
It
and
popped out in color. Yeah.
I don't like Eric Bischoff, so anytime he's on my screen, it brings it down a little bit. And I don't think they need him on NXT. I mean, he's doing fine. I mean, they're doing fine. So I don't know why they're bringing him in. X-Pac, I'm kind of here for. I like X-Pac, so at least I'm willing to see how that goes. At the same time, like, it's X-Pac, so I understand bringing down main event talent to do a spot or two on the whole bringing back Hall of Famers and stuff, just to kind of, I guess, continue to give NXT something, I suppose. I don't think they need it. And I worry about it taking away from just how good NXT itself has just been. I mean,
Yeah. No. I definitely know what you're saying. Where it's more so like even though, like I said, great matches, nothing stood out. Where it's like, oh, that right there put them over the top. You know, I do love Gigi coming back. Yes, I do. I would give NXT a B minus. Yeah, like a whole like decent matches. Angles did not suck. Let's say that Angles didn't suck, but nothing stood out like pow. Like, oh yeah, all right, let's go. And like
right.
Eric Bischoff, even though I do like Eric Bischoff a little more than you do, I was with him for NWO. I do need things to make sense, and him doing whatever with Ridge and Trick Williams. I'm like, yeah, but why? Like why does he have access to the satellite feed and the jumbotron? Like who gave him access? Yeah, who gave him access to this by chance? Like was it Shawn Michaels suggestion? Was it the Ava suggestion? Did Triple H do that? Like so in that aspect it was like, huh? So yeah, I'll give this a B minus. It was thoroughly enjoyable though.
Sammy, what are you giving NXT this week?
it's difficult. Like, because there were really good moments, and then there was moments that were
Not necessary.
like
Yeah.
this wasn't as good as last week's. So now I'm trying to think: is it a B minus like Raw, or is it a C plus? Is this worse than Raw? And I'm kind of thinking I'm going to give this a C plus.
Right. So me and Aniki gave Raw a B. Sammy gave Raw a B minus. Me and Aniki gave
Oh yeah, yeah.
NXT a B minus, and Sammy gave NXT a C plus. So that leaves us with Anika to run us through AEW Dynamite from the next night, Wednesday the 27th.
And thank you for
Let's
that,
do it.
because you know I can't see the date.
I wasn't even thinking about that when I said it, but I just... That's funny.
All right, so yes, we have AEW Dynamite, the Dynamite after Full Gear, which was a great pay-per-view. Is like just like the build just didn't match the great pay-per-view, and sometimes that's so unfortunate because it's like, why are people going to watch it? They don't know it's great, you know. They don't have anything to look forward to. But nonetheless, it was great, and so we have to do a little bit of aftermath cleaning. So to that, we start off with, like I said, they showed Full Gear, little clips that were great. Full Gear ended with Darby trying to unalive the Death Riders by slamming his car into their car and then just pushing people like, dude, if y'all don't help me, they're gonna freaking beat us all up, basically. And it was like, you know, like John Moxley is gonna be real hard to kill AEW if you're in the building with us. I'm like, this is so intense. Anyway, so the first in-ring segment is segment of the night is Hurt Business coming in the ring, being very, very braggadocious, and rightfully so, because Bobby Lashley defeated Swerve at Full Gear. Very, you know, either whatever opinion you had on how the match would have gone, it was going to be a great match, and it was nevertheless. So, and then, you know, MVP on the mic, praising his two biggest clients of the Hurt Business right now. And so people were trying, you know, the crowd trying to hijack it. Whose house? Swerve house? Like, if you're like, I'm gonna show you whose house it is. Roll the clip. So then it showed Bobby Lashley basically destroying Swerve Full Gear. I'm like, yeah, that's how you silence them. That's how you get them. It's like, and don't worry. And it's like, and look, it's nothing personal. We just gonna hurt people. And evidently, that's gonna be their Swerve's house chant. And they're like, so like the crowd actually liked it. It's going to be slow to get on the tick, but I fully believe people like, we hurt people. We hurt people. Like, hey, I'm here for that chant. I'm here for that chant. And then we also find out, and we all knew this. Like, if this wasn't going to happen, I would have punched him in the throat. Shelton Benjamin is going to be in the C2. He's like, he's going to rip through the whole competition. First and foremost, Mark Briscoe. So what do you think about this first segment of the Hurt Business before we go into the match?
I mean, I liked it. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, MVP is great at what he does. I'm a huge fan of Shelton Benjamin. I can kind of take or leave Bobby Lashley. That's not to take away from what he does or how good he is. For me, I'm just not the biggest fan. I'm glad to see Shelton Benjamin in the C2. I think, obviously, he seems to still have a fair amount in the tank, as we'll see from the next match. The C2 doesn't have any easy matches, and the brackets are tough. So, him versus Mark Briscoe this early is tough. Because I really love Mark Briscoe. At the same time, like, it is what it is. And again, I don't want to spoil it because we're gonna get there in just a minute because we haven't really talked about the match.
Yeah.
But you can still come back because there's points, and taking 0 points at this point for Mark Briscoe isn't the end of the world. Doesn't necessarily mean whatever. At the same time, I don't imagine Mark Briscoe is going to be the one winning the C2 to begin with. So that said, it is what it is, and this was a solid match. I enjoyed this. I'm happy for C2 season, and this was a good way to kick off the promo leading up to the match and kicking off the C2.
Sammy.
I feel like one league feels more lopsided than the other.
Which
So let's talk about a little bit. We know so C2 they have two brackets, the gold brand and the blue brand. And I heard them say, like, why is Shelton over here?
The other bracket looks like a bracket of death.
Can you
got-
go over the bracket real quick? Yeah, yes. Tell
So
us who's in the
gold
gold.
league or blue league first?
Either one. I'm cool with either one.
All right. Well, let's do blue league first because that's the one with Shelton Benjamin in it, and that's who we're talking about. So we got Shelton Benjamin, we got Mark Briscoe, we got Kyle Fletcher, Daniel Garcia, Kazuchika Okada, and the Beast Mortos. But in the gold league, we got Claudio Castagnoli, Brody King, Will Ospreay, Darby Allin, Ricochet, and Juice Robinson. Like, I'd much rather be faced up in the blue league. Yeah.
I mean, I
Kazuchika
think they're both
Okada.
solid, though. I mean, I don't, there's not. I mean, I think it's stacked both ways. But yes, I mean, you probably have a slightly easier run in the blue league.
Yeah, Kazuchika Okada is the biggest threat in the blue league, but in the gold league, like Juice Robinson is the easiest person to beat in the gold league, and like Juice Robinson's a solid freaking wrestler, so like,
yeah,
gold
I
league
mean, I can
seems
see
like
what
the
you're saying.
bracket of death.
I can see what you're saying. I think the C2 in general is very solid. I mean, I feel like the probably the weakest competitor, and this is saying a lot, and not to take anything away from him at all, but just in general is probably the Beast Mortis, and that's saying a lot because I think he's amazing. So, Miss Anika, oh, did we lose her? It looks like we did lose her. Second, sorry, I had walked away to get some water real quick. Give me just 1 second. All right. Let me pull up my notes because I had put them away. Sorry, real quick.
I mean, like, I'm not trying to like talk shit on the blue league. I'm not saying blue league weak. I'm just saying gold league is scary.
Sure. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Was it the 27th? 24. She's not back yet. Let's see. I'm trying to bring up the results from Dynamite because I mean I watched the show, but I don't remember exactly how everything happened or which order it happened. So,
like, if you move Brody or Claudio with one of the dudes in the blue league, I feel like that'd help even it out a bit. But having both of those dudes plus Will Ospreay all in the gold league, it's like 3 Okadas.
All right. Yeah, I mean, what do you think, Anika? Do you think the blue league or the gold league?
Am I here? Okay, no, I was. I'm like, I didn't see me. Yeah. So, I'm not gonna give me the blue league one more time. I'm so sorry because as you can see,
Shelton Benjamin,
yes,
Kyle Fletcher,
yes,
Daniel Garcia, Kazuchika Okada,
okay,
Mark Briscoe, and the Beast Mortos.
It's not a bad. It's not a bad league. You just need that one person, like there's one more person from the gold league over here. It's not a bad league. I definitely concur. Gold league is better, but it's not a bad league though. It's like yeah, just put one more person over in the blue league, and it's fine.
Like, what I was telling ALW is with the gold league though, you got Claudio, you got Brody, and you got Ospreay. Like, those are 3 heavy contenders. And then the other 3, Darby Allin, still a solid contender. Ricochet, solid contender. And then you got Juice Robinson, who is the least likely person in this bracket to win, but like Juice Robinson's still a really good wrestler.
No, I think the C2 should be fun.
Yeah.
It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I guess the gold bracket's a little bit more loaded, but you do have Okada and you got Kyle Fletcher in the blue.
And Mark Briscoe, and like I said, we gotta switch one. I would switch Ricochet with someone else in the blue league, and I think that would make it a little bit more better.
So
If
I
I
would
had to make any
switch
changes,
either Claudio or Brody King.
I'm going to say no to that because I do want to see Claudio versus Brody. So I'm like, no.
I would have that as the finals.
I feel caught in the finals.
Ooh, gosh. I sure hope not.
Oh, dang it.
So what do you think? Okada versus Ospreay in the finals?
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but so there's nothing wrong with that. And don't get me wrong, it's a tournament, and in theory, especially in a round robin tournament, your best of the best rise to the top. That's why you do it. And Ospreay and Okada are two of your best, so it makes sense. And the match would be solid, and all those things. Ospreay's great, Okada's great. It doesn't. I want something a little more. I don't know. It feels like I want something that I haven't. That feels predictable, I guess is the way I'm going to say that. It feels somewhat predictable to a certain extent. And so it'd be kind of cool to have some sort of an upset. I feel like this is a platform where someone that doesn't necessarily always get the main stage could get a big push. And I feel like an Eddie Kingston did, even though he was kind of a main eventer, winning this was a big deal for him. And I feel like you could do that again. And I don't think Okada or Ospreay has that feel for me.
So you would want like a Juice Robinson.
Yeah, either Juice Robinson would be nice. I mean, I don't think he's. I mean, he's probably lower on the list of people, but I really
I
like
thought
Mark
that's what you were saying,
Briscoe.
though. The kind of guy that you wouldn't expect to win being the dude.
Right. I mean, that Mark Briscoe, even a Claudio Castagnoli, who you might kind of expect to win, but
Mark Briscoe's held the title before. He won it off of Eddie.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not necessarily opposed to that. And there's a real sleeper, not that I think he should win, but Mortis should have a really good tournament.
Yeah. So I'll say this. I feel what you're saying about elevating a new star, but for me, Ospreay can't take another loss. I know he's Ospreay, he's awesome, but it's time to rehype up Ospreay. I know as crazy as that sounds, I don't want him losing no more anytime soon. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just me. I'm not saying he should win the C2, but I think he should make a very great run. And even though I said this is hard, it's a whole lot of sleeper. It's a whole lot of good people in this tournament.
We've had 3 matches so far, and we had Darby Allin versus. Oh wait, well, I should.
Yeah. Talk about later. So we're gonna put a pin in it now. But like right now, I don't. Even though I said Okada should be in the finals, I really don't have a horse in this race. Like I do like everybody mostly, and with I know who shouldn't be in there, but you have a whole lot of potential of people who should be in the finals.
If we're pushing a new star, though, the Blue League has Daniel Garcia.
It shouldn't be Daniel Garcia.
Yeah, I mean, he literally just won the TNT title, right? So, like,
what? Yeah.
Let's let that marinate for a minute. I think he doesn't need 2 belts right now.
On that note, should it also not be Kyle Fletcher then? Because Kyle Fletcher has the.
I don't want it to be Kyle Fletcher.
God, I'm a little bit different, and that. So, okay, here's the difference for me is that I like Kyle Fletcher better, and I think Kyle Fletcher is a better wrestler. So, like, for me, I don't have a problem with Kyle Fletcher. I feel like Kyle Fletcher, being a big star is where he belongs. Whereas Daniel Garcia, I think the TNT title's probably where he belongs and shouldn't be holding 2 titles at the moment. So it shouldn't be winning the C2, especially when there's competition like there is. Whereas Kyle Fletcher, I think, is good enough to win the C2. So
I feel pretty confident in betting on Okada, but also I'm a big Shelton Benjamin fan. He
Yeah.
just came to the company. They got the Hurt Syndicate. Having a member holding a title would look good for the group, and it'd be great for Shelton Benjamin, who hasn't held a title in so freaking long.
So, like I said, like even though I don't need Osprey to lose, I have a lot of people who I want to win. So we'll see what happens. Let's go to the match. Mark Briscoe versus Shelton Benjamin. I love Mark Briscoe just because he that dude, right? So we have her syndicate. We have Shelton Benjamin staying in the ring. We have MVP and Bobby Lashley exiting out. So Mark Briscoe's music hits and he's going down the ramp. He's hyped up. He signs up Bobby Lashley like, okay, all right. Then he just sashays, he just sashays around him and goes to the ring. And Bobby's like, oh, okay. Like, so like, if y'all want to give me that in any capacity, yes, please. Kind of like I love when a dude's like, I don't care. He's like you Bobby Lashley. So I don't care. So if y'all want to do that later, yes, please. But of course, it's Shelton Benjamin and Mark Briscoe. Certain people have expectations on their name when it comes to wrestling. These two do, and they did their thing. They did not disappoint me at all. Shelton Benjamin won. Again, like, yeah, if we're gonna put so we were talking about Shelton Benjamin being a C2. I'm going to put a percentage of 55% sure he's not winning it, but I don't want him to be a sucker. You know what I'm saying? I want him to be on a good. I want him to have the Brody Lee run of last year. So I wasn't opposed to this. At the same time, I don't want Mark Briscoe to have the same run he had last year, where he only won one. So it's like, no. So like, let's not do that with Mark. If we're going to rewrite the story, right? Give Mark Briscoe Eddie Kingston's role of last year, where he kind of has some setbacks, but he comes back, and give Shelton Benjamin Brody King's role last year, where he was on a tirade, and one little loss from last minute get him out of the picture. That's what I want for both these dudes.
I'm good with that.
Oh, I
I
can't.
don't really have any. You summed it up pretty well. I don't really have anything else to say.
Sammy, anything?
I agree with ALW.
Yeah, like none of these. I don't want either of these two dudes to have a losing streak. So hopefully, after maybe one more loss between Mark Briscoe, butts in gear, and he gets the Eddie Kingston run. So yeah.
I mean,
all right.
So you think Mark Briscoe should be the winner of the Blue League?
I guess this is hard. Not the winner, but if you want to put him in the finals, cool. Like, he should definitely be in the semifinals. Like, let him get his wins back to he's at least in the semifinals, and I'll be okay with that.
There isn't a semifinals, is there?
Well, the match before you get to the finals, yes.
Well, everybody has a match before the finals. It's a round robin tournament.
Whatever points you have, if you're close. So last year, the last match before the finals, it was a triple threat between Moxley.
Well, that's because they all were tied in points.
So you know what I'm saying, Sammy? Stop acting like you don't know what I'm saying.
Tied in points with the.
No, you're the crackhead who be online. They're like, I don't understand the C2. What are the points? Understand? And like, stop overthinking it. There's going to be a match to make sure who's in the finals. He should be in that match to be clear of who's going to the finals.
Okay, he needs to be tied in points with the person who eventually wins.
If you want to be specific, then yes.
Well, I mean, that's how you have a semifinal.
Sure. Okay. All right. Next up, we have the Monet segment. She celebrate her win with against Statlander. Again, like the build up to Full Gear. I need y'all to do better, because the match at Full Gear between Mercedes and Statlander was so good. And it was like, if y'all could have just, it wasn't like they didn't do any effort. It just wasn't clicking on all cylinders, you know? So I'm not sure how to fix that, but I hope y'all can fix it because, like I said, the match at Full Gear was so great between Statlander and Mercedes Moné. So we have a segment on the ramp, and of course, Mercedes Moné is healing it up. Chicago! Yeah, whatever. And then so she gave Statlander her props. She was like, that was the best. She's like, that was probably the hardest contender I've had this far in AEW, but I'm Monet. I won. Then she tries to lay into Camille, but she's like, but no thanks to Camille. What have you been doing lately? Why are you even here? If you're not going to end, Camille gets the mic and tells Mercedes to shut up. Are you stupid or are you dumb? And conclusively, she said, you can't fire me because I quit. This got a bigger pop than anyone thought it would because, again, it wasn't a bad run with Camille and Mercedes. It just didn't click on all cylinders, right? But this was a good moment for Camille. What do you do with Camille afterwards? Is the question. Is she? So her arm is still in the sling. Is she still hurt? That's question number one. And if she's not, okay, so a whole lot of people who are on podcasts are like, oh, they're not using Camille right. Oh, she was much better in what's his name?
NWA.
NWA. And it's like, I don't know how she was in NWA, right? I think her and Mercedes should have been a better act if they would have used her properly. So conclusively, I'm not sure how Camille by herself would look. And I'm not sure if I would roll the dice on her being by herself. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I haven't seen her by herself, so I don't know. Maybe she will be better, but to my eyes, I don't know. I don't know. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I talked a little bit about how I felt like, and to be fair, I stopped watching NWA when Tyrus became champion, so there was a long time there were probably 6 months between when he became champion or 8 months and she actually came to AEW that I didn't get to see her. But I did watch AEW for a couple years and I got to see her do a lot of stuff. And I like Camille. I mean, I said that I didn't think that when I saw her again in AEW that I thought that she had developed as much as I was hoping she would. And I still, but
She has a quality spear.
with that being said, I'm kind of surprised that they got to this as fast as they did.
Yeah.
I guess that's because of what you're saying, which is that it felt like it wasn't clicking. I didn't necessarily feel like Mercedes and Camille wasn't clicking. The only thing that I thought was Camille from NWA wouldn't take that treatment from Mercedes too long, but a lot of people are familiar with Camille from NWA, so you can kind of do whatever you want to do with her. So I was a little surprised that they did this fast, but if, like Anika says, people felt like it wasn't working, then you got to pivot and do something quick. And, the question becomes, is there any meat on the bone for anybody in a feud between Mercedes and Camille? I mean, we got to have that. I don't know if that moves the needle for anybody. I mean, I like Camille, but she's not beating Mercedes. I don't think that's going to happen, and I don't think she's shown that she should. And like you said, is she, what's the status of her arm at this point? And I do think Camille still needs somebody. So if you separate her from Mercedes, then like you said, what does she do and what does that look like? I'm curious to see what it looks like. The problem is that AEW isn't really developmental, so you should be kind of where you're supposed to be at if you're going to be on TV for AEW. So, I don't know if there's a whole lot of room for Camille to continue to develop on TV. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm interested to see what they do, and at the same time, I am a little nervous about what this looks like when it all shakes out. I don't think we're done with Stat and Mercedes either. I think we're probably going to get a second match there. That would be my guess, but
Sammy?
I forgot what I was going to say now.
Sorry, my bad.
Anything about Camille or Mercedes or? if they're gonna use if they're gonna use Camille better.
I'm down with the match between them. Like the thing is we saw the angle before done better with MJF and Wardlow.
Right? That's also the thing. And
And with
more
that,
so
Wardlow went over. And with this, I'm like, do we want to follow that path again? Because look how it turned out.
well, so the end game was good with Wardlow and MJF. The only thing about it was the execution of Wardlow by himself. Yeah. So yeah, let him squash the MJF. Yes, you're finally over. Even the whole Goldberg Wardlow coming in, beating up security guards until he gets him MJF. I was cool with it. It was just the whole single competitiveness. You turned down a match for the World Heavyweight Championship to go to get the TNT. I'm like, those little things made it suck. But the build up and the crescendo wasn't bad. But yeah, I agree with you. That that was a better told story, and yeah, we'll see. We'll see what
The
happens.
story isn't over, so I mean, we'll see what ends up happening, right? I mean, I assume we're getting Camille and Mercedes. That has to be the next evolution of this, and we don't know what that's going to look like quite yet. I did think that Camille telling Mercedes to shut up was the best that Camille had looked on the microphone. I was like, okay, that sounds good. I mean, that came across well, and I thought, it's about time, and then all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, but for me, the jury's still out. We're gonna have to
Well,
wait
I
to
was
really see what ends up becoming of this feud. I mean,
saying completion of the story. I was saying build up of the story. The build up between Wardlow and MJF, I thought was better.
yeah, no,
They even brought
I think
Wardlow's
that's probably
mother
fair.
into it.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair.
And it
D'Amica?
didn't come about because of
Here.
a promo. It
Okay.
came about because of Wardlow giving the ring to Punk and Punk winning the match because of Wardlow.
Yeah.
So,
This is
like,
true.
if Camille had done something that caused somebody to beat Mercedes, it would have made it feel more meaningful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. Again, I mean, it didn't happen yet, but that could still potentially. I mean, Mercedes has a belt and has to defend it. I mean, Camille still could come out at some point and cost her a match. I mean, it probably would have made more sense to have it happen at Full Gear, especially if you're going to do this the next Wednesday right after Full Gear. Like, you could have just done this at Full Gear and maybe had her lose the belt to Stat or cost her the belt. Maybe that would have made it a little juicier, more meat on the bone. But it is what it is. I guess I wanted to keep Mercedes with they still wanted Mercedes to have the title. So
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So next match we have Ishii versus Chris Jericho. You know what? I took your advice, Sammy. Whereas it's like Ishii is better than Chris Jericho, so we're going to not have the learning tree make this match suck. And it was helpful because it didn't suck. Like like some people, wrestlers have their favorite opponents. Evidently, Jericho's favorite opponent, one of them is Ishii. And so they went back to the drawing board of their first match where, hey, we're going to slap each other's chest until we're going to try to bleed. No one bleed yet, thank God. But the counteract of this is Ishii. They just start throwing jaw jackers at each other, and Ishii's jaw is swollen. It's like, I get strong style, but there's also you don't have to do everything at once. You don't have to hit each other this hard. Where you can see the side effects of it. But yeah, bout for bout, blow for blow. But Jericho has the Judas effect and wins, retains as ROH World Heavyweight Champion. What did you think about this match?
It was Judas effective.
I'm a huge Ishii fan. I didn't think this worked all that well. I didn't like their chemistry together. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I can appreciate how intense a chop is, and or a forearm, and or a right hand. I also, the match was probably, I don't know. I mean, I'd have to look at the time, but it felt like about 10 minutes, and about 9 minutes of it felt like chopping and punching, and it was a little much for me as far as like 95 chops back and forth in a row in one particular segment. I was like, okay, this is a okay. Can we? You got to do something else. Like I appreciate these are hard and they hurt and all that stuff, but at the same time,
Yes.
and I'm not a Chris Jericho fan, so anytime he beats someone who I'm a fan of, like Ishii, it bothers me, and I don't.
Mhm.
And I just, unfortunately, I thought that it looked like two old men in the ring. It did. There were moments where it was slow. I thought they both looked like they were kind of gassed and a little slow. Ishii is over the hill as well. And to me, unfortunately, it looked like two older guys in a match. So I didn't really care for it. For me personally, I thought this was the down part of this episode of Dynamite, which is really unfortunate because I love Ishii. But that's how bad Jericho is.
For me, I thought it was good. I was appreciative that this was on TV and not on the pay-per-view.
Yeah, that's always a plus. Where it's like let's know our limitations with Jericho, and yeah, him being on the card of a pay per view is a lot. We can say that it's a lot. All right, so next up, this is like this when we crank it up just a little bit louder.
I wanted to say something else though.
Go ahead.
I would have complained more if this was the opener or closer, but this is middle of the card.
Yes.
Like, I felt like this was very serviceable being middle of the card. Like, I had no complaints in that regard.
There's a whole lot of matches that get either a good play or a down play, all because of the positioning of the card.
Mhm.
Like going back to Jericho versus KO WrestleMania, and you put that number. Like no, people like you left because number 3. Yes, because it was not a number 3 match. It was either an opener or a closer. Like no offense, I don't remember WrestleMania that well, and I can definitely say it shouldn't have been number 3. I remember Festival of Friendship, and everybody was hyped up for Jericho getting his lick back. It's like you put him at number 3, and and KO was he was the champion. It's a whole. Sorry, because I'm still mad about that. I'm mad for KO because they dropped the ball on that whole storyline. They should have ended it way better than they did. But I digress. All right, so next segment we have a backstage segment with Swerve. Whose house? Swerve house. Talking to Renee Paquette. All right, so how do you feel about this loss from Bobby Lashley at Full Gear? He's like, hey, I'm gonna be honest with you. Me going against Bobby was probably the biggest fight of my life. Boy don't hold no punches, but I rebuild. That's what I do. And then here comes what's his name? Mark. I don't from the Acclaim. Is it Mark or what? Max Caster. Thank you. So from the Acclaim, Matt Caster in his full heel glory in his mustache comes in taunting Swerve. Talking about, man, it's like everyone loves not the Acclaim, the best wrestler on earth. Okay. And he said, like, hey, we're in Chicago. Isn't this when the Acclaim beat you and Keith Lee? Like, no, crackhead. You beat him the next time. You didn't beat him in Chicago, whatever. But maybe that was a misstep on purpose. He was like, you know what? This is a good moment for some bars, you know. Oh, so Swerve Bobby Lashley came in like a feet of fire. Oh, he burned the house down. Oh, burn the house down. That's a part. And of course, you know, referring to Swerve Jenkins' childhood home burnt down. Swerve's like, no, I think you forgot who I was. And basically toss Matt Caster into some what do you call it? The equipment, and just start beating the crap out of him. Yes. The Beaver Matt Caster is always approved. Yes. I approve all of this. And so like I said, this segment was great because, like, yes, I lost to Bobby Lashley, but let's not get it twisted. I'm still Swerve, so I love this segment of let's not forget who you're talking to. If we're gonna break up the Acclaim, let's do it. Like I don't like we this year alone. We've been through too many things of will they or won't they break up the faction? Will they won't they break up the team? It's like we don't need that anymore. If you're going to break them up, and I think we all said they need to, then do it. Do it sooner than later. If you want to do a good crescendo, winter's coming in 2 weeks. Do it there, but let's not delay this. You know what I'm saying? This is not a storyline to drag. You know, like if you've already stole the seeds, so just do it. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, this is interesting for me because I feel like the Acclaimed have had a weird dynamic because like Scissor Me is huge, right? I mean, it's over. Like the crowd loves doing
Yeah.
it. Every wrestling fan loves it. At the same time, there's a bit of a disconnect because it feels like, I mean, even with being tag team champions twice and trio champions once, I think, and maybe twice, it still feels like they never really like had that big push, and they've always been like they haven't quite reached their potential still. And so if that's the case, then and the powers that be think that they think that the two of them separate are going to be better singles wrestlers. Then okay, I guess I'm here for that. At the same time, I don't know that I believe that. I think that Bowens is a better wrestler,
Mm-hmm.
but I think that
Yeah.
Caster's a better talker. And so I think that's why they work so well together. I think when you have guys, when you have people that one has kind of a deficiency where it's the other one's strength, and that's why they work so well as a tag team. When you split them up, it's a weird dynamic. So I have a feeling that Caster's going to probably be the one that gets. Well, I have a feeling Bowens is they're probably both going to fall through the cracks when it really boils down to it. I mean, it feels like Caster's going to get the first push because he can talk more. He's got a little bit more personality, maybe, and that's why he's in this spot with Swerve. And at the same time, like they're both. I don't think neither of them is destined for a singles title per se, or not. I mean, not a main event title. I mean, maybe a TNT title at some point. But again, Tony wants all these titles to feel equal. So even though they don't always feel that way, that's what he wants. And I don't know that either Bowens or Caster feels like they're, equal to a Moxley or an Okada or an Osprey or any of these other guys. Daniel Garcia, yes. Jack Perry, yes. But again, I mean, that's why I say they don't always feel like they're equal. But Tony wants them ultimately to try to feel equal. So I mean, the whole thing is weird to me. I really think their sweet spot is as a tag team, so I'm a little disappointed at that. At the same time, like I said, even though they've been champion and had a fair amount of big spots, it does feel like they never quite got that ultimate push over the hurdle and became like whatever. So I don't know. I mean, maybe they've hit their ceiling as a tag team. I'm not sure.
I think that Bowens is a better promo than Caster is for wrestler.
That's probably fair.
Yeah.
That's
So
probably fair.
like two things to what you said, AO. I do agree. I feel like when they were tag team champions, more so they never beat anyone huge. They're gearing towards FTR, but they never let them beat them, which was unfortunate, right? Because like with anything, it's like unless you beat, I'll say it until the cows come home, but he changes. PK is a big gatekeeper where he likes to keep people off in different sections, and he never is like, oh, you can't beat this talent because they're so huge or whatever. And that's why certain stuff didn't transcend how it's supposed to. Like, okay, so Jade Cargill's TBS title. The main thing we said was she never beat anyone huge. She never beat a Britt Baker or Thunder Rosa when she was champion. And that's kind of what made the title, I'm not gonna say more so her reign, a little boring, right? And so but to the other credit, if you're not going to evolve the team, then yeah, let's break them up. And so unfortunately for the Acclaim, even with Billy Gunn, they never evolved into like got better, right? It was still the same stick from 3 to 4 years ago, and it's fine. Yeah. But if you're gonna, but like, you do need to do something that's a little bit better, like a little more intensity, a little bit more intentional about certain things. So I'm not mad if you're gonna do it, just do it. Either make up and get over it, or break them up and stick with it. I think Matt, but for Matt Caster and Anthony Bowens, Matt was here because he's a heel. I don't think that. I don't know how they view them behind the scenes, but yeah, I like the story right now is basically Max is being on television douche, and Anthony Bowens is like, I don't agree with you, but I ain't gonna say anything in front of anybody because you're my teammate. So I get why Max was in this. That I get why he was in this segment. But all right, here, if they do a match between Max and Swerve, it should be basically a squash match.
Oh, man, that's rough. I mean, I don't know about a squash match. I mean, you got to let Caster have something, especially if you're going to split them up and try and, if the goal is to split up him and Bowens and actually try to have Bowens and Caster both have some sort of single something, he can't just be squashed. But he shouldn't be beating Swerve, that's for sure. I mean, he should have some moves and at least be competitive, I would think. I mean, at the same time, he's not a very good wrestler, so.
He should get his butt whooped. I'll say that. He should get his butt whooped. All right. So next segment, again, like I said, this is when it gets a little, we're gearing stuff up. We have Hangman Adam Page for an in-ring interview, in-ring interview? Yeah. With Tony Schiavone.
A whole lot of yelling. I'm like,
can we call it an interview? Because I think Tony asked him one thing, and he just took the mic and that was it.
Yeah. But it was definitely a Hangman promo.
Yes. So he gets the mic, and he was like, none of this is on me. And so more so, they talk about the last segment of Full Gear, which was which was a lot. It was a lot. After Moxley beats OC, Christian comes out, then Heyman comes out. We think Heyman is going to stop Christian, but he doesn't. And then someone else comes out. There's a brawl. Death Riders try to escape, and then Darby hits him with a car. They go into another car and escape. So in that segment, like I said, Heyman actually gives back Christian his contract, but Christian fails. So in this segment, Christian was like,
well, Christian got attacked from behind from Switchblade, Jay White.
There we go. Like I said, it was a lot. Again, the ending of Full Gear was a lot. So they ended with, Jay White is the reason why Christian didn't successfully cash. I'm calling it cash in. So to that credit, Hangman is yelling because it's like, I should be the champ. Not Moxley, not Swerve, not Christian, me. We had an agreement, and then you would have been, and if Christian would have done an agreement, I would be champ right now. And so basically, I guess Christian made a deal with Heyman. If you let me do this, you get the first shot. And of course, Jay White, to not be denied, says, Hangman, Hanger, tell me who won at Full Gear. And of course, Heyman's not going to answer that. So tell me who won the match before that. And so he's like, so this whole thing about you should be champion, it's a lot. It's like, I beat you twice, and so now I should get my shot. In true Death Rider form, here comes Claudio Bastard. I think Bastard came out first to beat up Jay White and Hangman, and then here comes Marina Shafir, and so they're not beating each other. They're not beating Death Riders together. They're individually beating up each other individually. So let's be very clear. Jay White and Heyman were not helping each other out. They're helping themselves. Heyman did something, but he hurt his leg is still aggravating him. That's why he got beat up. And then Marina Shafir tried to attack Jay White. Jay White goes for the Blade Runner. But this is when Moxley comes into the ring and gives Jay White into headlock.
Sleeper.
It's like, look. You already know my stance on women in wrestling. If you're gonna attack a man, you're gonna have to eat this finisher. So at some point in time, you tease me with it. Marina Shabir should get a plane runner. I guess like you already showed me the end game, and you better give it to me. Point blank period. So yeah. So Moxley gets Jay White into a there you go. Bulldog choke. Marina gets up. He's like, like, so screw this. I'm gonna beat Joe behind. And so she kicks him, and she does a frontal choke. I'm very surprised no one talked about this more. She didn't choke him from behind. She choked him from the front. His face is in her chest while she's just choking him out, and he's just clawing out the sky. It was a very weird visual. Cause like it kind of reminded me of Rhea when she was putting the scissors to Dom the first time they attacked Dom and Ray. That's what it reminded me of. But no one, I'm like, am I the only one? All right, fine. But Death Rider, Stand Tall. What are your comments about this segment?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed the whole thing. I've said this before, and I always find it interesting when you have someone like a John Moxley, have someone that's like his protector to a certain extent. So it's kind of an odd spot for Marina Shafir. At the same time, she's getting over just by being involved with Moxley and them. That being said, she also hasn't had a match, I don't think, in a long time now either. This is all she's been doing. So she's doing it well. But yeah, I mean, I'm interested in seeing her catch a Blade Runner too. And I still don't know. Someone's gonna have to physically show me because I still don't. And I watched it on replay. I still don't know how you choke somebody out face first like that. I don't. You can't get the. I guess they're smothered her with their boobs, I suppose, is how he ultimately whatever. But it's like you can't really choke somebody that way. It works the other way because you get your elbow with their, when their back is to your front, you get your arm underneath their chin and you choke them out. But her boobs are too soft to choke him out that way, and her arms are around the back of his neck. So it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, but it is what it is. But I like this whole spot. I thought the whole thing was great.
If this was an actual fight, you need to buy her titty. I'm buying your titty, so you let me go. It's a point blank period.
So I think CM's saying that she might have had a move called Mother's Milk, maybe in Ring of Honor. I'm not sure. I don't necessarily remember her using that or anything like that. But I mean, my memory's terrible, so I will defer. If that's what CM is saying, then I will defer to her on that. Maybe that is
I like you calling it that. I like it being called Mother's Milk.
I mean, right?
I love that. Sammy, any thoughts?
About the Mother's Milk? Not really.
About the whole segment.
No, it was good. Love.
All right.
Love Death Riders. I almost called them BCC.
Look.
CM says you essentially choked them using your boobies.
I'm not opposed to that.
Excuse you.
I'm like,
you know what? I'm not actually putting that one up. I'm not putting that one up, CM.
Put it up. Don't do that.
No, I'm not putting that one up.
You know what? Fine.
She says that's how you know ALW never been titty smacked, which isn't true. But at the same time, we're not going there. So.
So you know what? We won't relive history. But baby boy Blue can my boy Blue can say that's how we know LW got all them kids. But CM said that's how you don't get your titty smacked. That's off limits. All right, fine. We see how this is. Okay. All right. Next up, we have this match, which it was so good, and unfortunately, We don't know what Chicago was on because they was some real trolls. There was real trolling in this match, but it was Claudio versus Ricochet. Again, two peoples whose name you say it, and it should be great. Point blank. Period. This should not be a sucky match, and it wasn't. We have Claudio, the big strong man, just tossing Ricochet around, and Ricochet who's being fast as hell and using his quickness to outmaneuver Claudio. One move that I was like, oh wow, was I think Claudio's going for a power bomb, and Ricochet just stood on his shoulders and did a backflip. It's like, what are we doing? What are we doing here? Like I said, those two went bout for bout, a little similar to Darby's match because Claudio tossed Ricochet outside, and Ricochet had to beat the count. But did you really want to do that? Because you came in the ring and Claudio just basically clotheslined your behind. 1, 2, 3. Claudio for the win. Like I said, great match, but like I said, the fans were being trolls. The crowd's being trolls. They're chanting Baldies, ball forever. It's like, this is not the match.
See, I'm so she didn't hear the crowd, to be honest. That match was good. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, like it was very faint, but yeah, they're like saying bald forever, baldies. It's like, come on, shut up. But this was a great match. I love this match. It's like, you do that to people who are not them. But any comments?
Yeah. Jeremy, you want to go first, or?
I enjoyed it. Like, I'm trying to think of anything to complain about, but I'm drawing blanks.
Yeah, no, I mean, I enjoyed this. Claudio's that guy. Ricochet has looked good since coming to AEW. Ricochet, I like Ricochet. I think, in my opinion, he always looks good. I guess there's a bit of a disconnect probably with some of his talking and his promo abilities. I guess that's maybe where he falls a little short. But at the same time, I mean, I don't. He'll come back and get some points in the C2. So no, I thought this was a very solid match, and Claudio should probably be beating Ricochet. And I thought they had good chemistry as far as not Ricochet. I guess he's a flippy kind of guy, but let's say just a second gear, high speed. I guess luchador maybe is the right word. I don't know. Whereas obviously Claudio's much more straight ahead striker. More ground and pound, more methodical, all those kind of things. I thought the chemistry worked well together. So no, I enjoyed this a lot. I thought this was very solid.
Claudio is great with big guys. I'm sorry, with little guys, as Darby is great with big guys. Like they know how to highlight the opposite muscular person. So I love Claudio dealing with smaller guys than him, because it's like, okay, I'm gonna toss you around until you maneuver me and you do your flippy stuff.
I do want to, it feels like, because I think you mentioned it now twice since talking about this. You referred to Darby and Brody Lee, or Brody King ultimately, which we'll talk about later. I feel like, and I'm gonna, I'm saying this now, even though I could save it for the match later. I feel, to me, and I like Darby, but I feel like sometimes his matches are becoming a little too formulaic. Whereas it's always the same thing. I don't have that feeling with Ricochet. Ricochet doesn't just get beat down the whole time. Ricochet actually has real good spots where he's extremely offensive, and he's not as small as Darby. And I think, so for me, it's different. And I don't mind when Ricochet takes a beating, because I do think, as a general rule, he has way more offense than they ever give Darby in his matches. So to me, it's a little bit, I'll talk about the Darby. I just kind of said what I felt, but we'll talk about that when we get there. But yeah, I mean, it's a little bit different for me, and I prefer Ricochet's style more than Darby's style myself, if you're going to actually compare the two. I'm not sure it's a fair comparison, but if you're going to.
Yeah. Sammy, any more thoughts? I concur.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, I can see that. We'll talk about more later. All right. So next up, we have a little backstage segment with the Don Callis family. Cal Fletcher, they're They're gloating. You should, because they let Cal Fletcher beat Osprey. Ugh. I get it, but still, my Osprey lost. So now Cal was like, Cal Fletcher just showed you how great he is, and he'll continue to show his excellence by entering the C2. If you didn't already know, not sure if they brought the brackets up at any moment during the show, but yeah. So Cal's in the C2, and it's a whole lot of New Japan guys, which makes me very giddy. Like, okay, even though last year's C2 did have two of my favorites, this C2 should still be great. You know, I'm going to miss Eddie, of course. I'm going to miss Danielson. I'm going to miss Moxley, but and even Swerve. And so, but I think they did enough where it's going to you're going to be interested, and it's going to be great. So, not sure how Kyle Fletcher's going to do. Not sure how I want him to do. You know, I get it. You're supposed to be a baby face. You're supposed to make me mad. So that's your job. But I'm not sure how many matches he should win. That's just me. That's just me. But any thoughts?
I mean,
Does
I like
Canales
Kyle
use
Fletcher.
a marker to mark in his scar?
What? Say that again.
The scar on his head. Does he use a marker to fill that thing in?
To make it darker.
It's very prominent, and it's like it should not be that prominent for this long.
Look. The people who keep showing the John Moxley kicks because he doesn't know his own strength. He hit you. You saw he hit Don Callis, and that thing has not gone away. So that's why he's very he doesn't use full strength anymore.
The scars from the screwdriver from Kenny Omega.
No, from Don Callis' head. No, he hit.
That's from the screwdriver from Kenny Omega.
Okay. I'm pretty sure the segment where Moxley beat him up in the backstage, but that's just me.
Oh, maybe he reopened the scar.
Maybe, but no, that scar on it, Don Callis, that scar right here, that was from a backstage.
I'm talking about on the right side, where it's like above his hairline.
I didn't notice that one. He got two scars.
I didn't notice he had one above his eye. I noticed the one on his forehead, above his forehead.
Oh, okay. We're not going to do this. I'm like bring it. We're not equipped to give a picture.
Closely, so honestly, I couldn't comment one way or the other. Like, I watched it, but I wasn't staring that close at Don Callis' head and face to nose, so I can't comment one way or the other. But Kyle Fletcher, I like Kyle Fletcher, and the C2 is pretty loaded, and so he needs to get some wins. He should be middle of the road, maybe top of the middle of the road. He shouldn't be in the finals, but he should win, a few matches. I mean, he's been putting in really good work. He's done a lot of really good stuff. He's had some great matches. I mean, him and Osprey is a match of the year candidate. So, I don't. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, well, him and Osprey 1 and 2, I guess. Technically, they've had 2 matches, but we're good. So I was thinking of 1, but either way, so Kyle Fletcher should have a good run. I mean, I expect him to have a good run. At the same time, I don't think he should win. So I mean, I wouldn't be mad if he did, but when you have so many other people in there, like we've talked about, it's hard to figure out how he's going to have a path to win. But at the same time, a guy like Kyle Fletcher would benefit a lot from winning something like that. I mean, if by some rare off chance you get a fluke where like an Okada takes a loss somewhere else or something else to somebody else and he squeezes his way in, I mean, I'm not, not necessarily opposed to that. I mean, he would get over a lot from having that belt. So
it's a catch-22, spoiler of riches. Again, he's a good heel, so I should not want him to win. But professionally, I do agree he should have a good run. I'll be very excited when we get to the final, till we get to the close to the finals, to see who's actually gonna almost make it.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So next we have
CM says Darby's still messed up right now because the Death Riders whooped that ass. Let him go his technical route and be amazed. I agree. I think Darby has the ability to be more of like an Orange Cassidy probably and show his technical side.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, they don't do that with him. That's not the way his matches play out. And I mean, I don't think that for me, it feels like it's never played out that way. I don't think that they showed that he was. I mean, I feel like his
The-
whole career has been predicated on the fact that he comes in and takes an ass whooping for 9 out of 10 minutes, and then for 1 minute he's rallies, turns it up, hits 2 big moves, and the coffin drop and gets the win. I mean that's like the MO. I mean, I don't.
so
Am I wrong? I mean,
no. Crazy enough, his most technical matches are with MJF. That's his most technical matches where it goes bout for bout, wrestle to wrestle. I love the story with him and Team Taz, where Taz was trying to train him. It's like, this is what you can do better. He's like, sir, I was on the wrestling team. I know how to do a what's his crucifix pin. That wasn't the reason why I lost. So I love that. So yeah, lately they haven't been gearing towards that. I guess it's more so about the story. Like MJ, like with MJF and Darby, that was the story of who's the better wrestler, and they prove in like, let's not do this because I'm still mad that MJF pinned Darby in the pillars match with a headlock. I'm like, y'all, I haven't forgot, and I need y'all to give him his lick back. You can't let MJF pinned Darby twice that way, and he can't get his lick back. So I'm not sure what capacity you have to do it in, but I need that third match. I don't care if MJF won twice. I need that third match because I'm pissed off. I'm still pissed off. But yeah, I guess it really has to deal with who he's facing and if the story requires it. And like to your credit, ALW, when you hold off a little bit and bring it back, it brings great moments. Kind of like, I know you said repetitive. I know one thing that's repetitive and didn't do it. It was a tag team match or a triple threat match, and Darby's hand was caught underneath the underneath the steps, and Keith Lee was stepping on the steps. He's like, wait, hold up, how are y'all doing this? No, this you can't tell me. So like, or Sting's final match, and he does something crazy and crackhead emotionally freaking does a flip off the ladder into glass. So it's like, yeah, it's not. Let's say he has a style of wrestling, but he knows how to turn it on with big things happen. So I guess we need Darby on pay-per-view. I'm still mad that Darby and Cario wasn't on Full Gear. I'm still mad at that. If it was on Full Gear, we probably would have saw something a little bit different. But it's still entertaining to me. It's still entertaining to me.
Yeah. Agreed.
All right. So next up, we have Adam Cole's segment, Baby, on Full Gear. Of course, MJF beats Roddy Strong. And after the match, MJF heals it up. He brings in a chair and he hits he crushes Roddy's arm at full gear.
Arm.
And so because of that, the Undisputed Kingdom comes out. Cal Fletcher comes out. Cal pushes Adam Cole. I told you this is your fault. Told you this was gonna happen. Fast forward to Dynamite. Adam Cole comes out. He's like, I'm pissed. MJF, you real life think that you ain't gonna fight me? I don't know. I don't care what it takes. I'm going to fight you. So here comes Cal Fletcher. He's like, well, all due respect,
O'Reilly.
Adam Cole. O'Reilly. So many Cals, so many Bronsons. Yeah.
Right.
Cal O'Reilly comes out. He's like, with all due respect, the reason you have not got the job done, Adam Cole. So let me have a shot of it. Let me face MJF. Here comes MJF, still in his little room. Do we have an accurate description of what we know that he's on the set of Happy Gilmore 2. But in AEW kayfabe world, did we get an FT where is he at during these segments on screen? Is he just like
I have no idea.
He's just in Staten Island. He's just in Staten Island. This is his house. This is his house.
I mean, I haven't noticed that they made a big moment about saying where he is or what he's, where he's at per se. It just is what it is.
That's just like it's a personal thing for me. I'm like, okay, so like, even though this might be this like this is the same freaking room. So I just need you like just tell me specifically where we think he is right now.
Right.
But he's playing the piano, being a real heel and deuce, and he's like, Adam Cole, baby, I don't understand why you don't get this. You're never going to face me. And crazy, I would say crazy enough, we're gonna have another Royal Rumble, Rumble, gauntlet, whatever you want to call it, to see who faces MJF for his diamond ring. So after MJF leaves the screen, Adam Cole says, "Well, all right. So if it takes me getting to you, I guess I'm entering that Royal Rumble." And Kyle Fletcher says, "I guess I'm entering that too." And once again, deadpan, no music, awkward freaking ending. I'm like, okay. I know y'all trying to make us think and concentrate on what happened, but I need someone's music to hit after the segment ends. That's just me. It's just way too awkward.
WWE has ingrained it into your head, yeah. I definitely understand that. Absolutely.
No, like, so I get it. Sometimes he has to pontificate on stuff, but you did it 2 times in a row with the same people. So it's like, all right, y'all doing it too much. Yeah, it's weird.
The question is whose music would you play?
Kyle O'Reilly's? Yeah, either Kyle O'Reilly's or Adam Cole's.
I really
awkwardly.
enjoyed this segment, especially like even how they closed it of like, allow me to be the first to enter the Diamond Battle Royale, and fix the mic, allow me to be the second. Like, all right, let's go. The only thing is that compared to last week, where Kyle O'Reilly is, you're getting your friends involved, your friends are going to get hurt, and then their friend got hurt, and I was like, it's too late now. I'm involved. I'm doing this. Like, yeah, I said last week, don't get your friends involved, but that don't apply to me. I'm in this now.
Now, let's do it for Roddy. All right, but more so, how many times are we going to let people like, at this point in time, I don't see anybody beating MJF for his ring. Like, I'm still low-key pissed that they didn't let Ricky Starks beat him for the ring. Like, that would have been perfect. Ricky beats MJF for the ring, but MJF beats Ricky for the belt. That would have been perfect. But like right now, I don't see anyone beating MJF for this ring. So why are we still doing this tournament? Honestly, like, I get it's a part of MJF's character, but for everyone else, it don't do nothing for no one. That's just me. Any thoughts?
I mean, they got to take the ring off of him at some point. I mean, he can't just hold it forever. Like you said, if he doesn't, what's the point? So, I mean, every year I keep thinking this is a year, and obviously it hasn't happened yet, but I'm assuming that this is the year that something happens. I mean,
this is year number 5.
So,
5 years.
Him having it the whole time has definitely taken a lot of the luster off of it. I mean, I even forget that it's out there 99% of the time.
Right?
So it is what it is. Yeah, I mean, this was fine. I mean, I'm a huge Kyle O'Reilly fan. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a whole lot of personality, so he's a little bland. And when he comes to the ring, it's not overly exciting, which is unfortunate. His best stuff is when he's just wrestling in the ring.
He's got a lot of personality. It's just not with his voice.
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
Some
I mean, I guess I could see that. I mean,
like,
I guess he's got
like
a lot of
him
body
using the
language,
belter as
personality. I
an
mean,
air guitar, like.
Oh yes.
Like, he's got so much personality. It's just with his body language, not with his voice.
right.
Some people don't have the voice of an angel like Jay White. The maleficent of it. But that don't mean you shouldn't use it or be a wrestler or do promo.
I mean, for me, this was not one of MJF's better promo segments. I mean, sometimes he talks too much. I almost felt like he didn't quite talk enough, and the piano was distracting and terrible. So, yeah, I thought this missed for me. I just didn't hit for me in general. I didn't. I mean, it's fine what it was, and at the same time, I didn't think it hit the way. Not for me, like I think they were hoping it would in general, but.
Like, no offense, but y'all are dragging out a story that I'm not sure a lot of people are still interested in. Like y'all should have just done this match at Full Gear and just be done with it, honestly.
Yeah, I tend to
So
agree with that as
there's
well.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So
I
next,
believe this is actually going to end at oh shoot, I'm forgetting the name of it now.
Revolution.
No, the one before that.
With World's End.
Yeah, World's End. I think this
Oh,
ends at World's End, which is a month away.
is World's End still in Staten Island, New York, or New
I
York
would
period?
I would assume so. AEW, aside from a couple pay-per-views, is real big about returning each year and doing the pay-per-views in the same city, or at least in the same state.
I get that.
Like
If that's the
Wrestle
goal.
Dream, they went to a different city, but it was still in Washington.
Okay.
Double or Nothing,
So
they do in Las Vegas. All
sure.
Out, they do in Chicago.
We'll talk about this later, but I do think that Double or Nothing can move. If y'all move, like I know Las Vegas, you're betting, but if you do it in New Orleans, like or New Jersey, like I think let's just have a discussion of let's move Double or Nothing. That's just me. That's just me. But yeah, if
I
that's
think
the
it
end goal,
holds close ties to them though, because that was their first AEW pay-per-view, and that's where it was, and so I think that like it has significant meaning to them of keeping it in the same
yeah,
place.
no, look, I get it, but if they have okay, I'll say this: they have one more time, and if the crowd is not alive for this sake, like the last one or two times the Double or Nothing, the crowd was it wasn't the same, but they weren't up for it. So they got one more time. It's like, all right, let's discuss moving it. That's just me.
I can agree with that. If the crowd isn't turning out, if the crowd isn't, then
We
like
got we
change crowds.
like let's
I
have
mean,
the conversation.
even if the crowd is turning out, I mean, the reality is that if you want your product to be at least nationally a big deal, you've got to get it where more people can see it live. You can't just hold it in the same places all the time. You've got to be more accessible to people that are in other places as well. I mean, they've only come to Los Angeles and to Washington. And to be fair, I'm in Washington, which is nice, but I mean, I'm just saying, like, that's those only two. I mean, they've come here what 3 times, I think, to the West Coast. Like that's in 5 years, or maybe they've come 4 times. I mean, that's not enough.
I,
So
Well, I
you know what I
mean,
mean? I
they
mean,
travel
it's
across the
nice
country
for
for the TV.
Chicago. It's nice for
don't
Chicago
do
to do,
that. Do that in Chicago.
to
Don't do
get
that. Don't do that.
35 shows a year, and Seattle gets one or two. I mean, it's, I guess it is what it is. I mean, you have your favorites, but I'm just saying, I mean, if you want a bigger prize, that's one of the things about WWE that I think has built so many fans over the years is that WWE goes everywhere. I mean, they don't come to the West Coast as much as they should, but they go everywhere, and they have a lot of stuff they do a lot of stuff that isn't necessarily, they have a lot of house shows that go places that are not on TV ever that you can still go see live. You know what I'm saying? So I mean,
Yeah.
that's one of the things that WWE's been able to do over the years, I think, to generate fans. So that I think AEW needs to get better on doing.
Well, they do that for their TV. It's just the pay-per-views that are set
They still don't even do that a
designation.
whole lot. We've had what we've only had a handful of Dynamites in 5 years on the West Coast too.
And most of the ones that they did were all in California.
Right. So I mean, we had one Dynamite show in Portland. I think we have one. I think we had one. I know we had one Dynamite because I went. We had one Dynamite show at the Moda Center in Portland, and I was there a pay per view. They might have done one pay per view that I didn't go to here in Portland. So in 5 years, they've been to the biggest city in the state of Oregon one time.
All right. So give them a little bit of grace because 2 of those years were pandemic, and they stayed in Jacksonville. So let's say 3.5 to 4 years. That's when they should have traveled more. And I
And
won't
again,
fault
I
them
mean,
for staying in one place.
you're on TV, so everyone can see you, and at the same time, even though I don't go a whole lot anymore, there is something to be said. Wrestling is still better in person at the event than it ever is on TV. So if you can go, you should go, and it helps build fans. And you need to have more AEW live events in more places. That's my personal opinion.
So
You only do 2 live shows besides the pay-per-view. You only do Collision and Dynamite, and usually they do them roughly in the same place. Rampage is pre-recorded, so
we all agree we would be down for them to try out, say, Atlantic City.
For Double or Nothing, yes.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wouldn't necessarily be opposed to that.
Right. All right. So next, here's our women's match of the night. But it was such a good freaking match. Queen Amanada versus Jamie Hayter. Let me tell you. Again, we said it a lot, but it needs to be said. Love Queen Amanada. Love Jamie Hayter. I want to say this. I think this is my first time seeing these two head to head, and I loved it. I love that. Like, not sure what Queen Amanada's style is. I'm not sure she's exactly full on a hard striker, but she was going toe to toe with Hayter with them elbows and slaps to the chest, and I loved every bit of it. And that running leg kick when Jamie Hayter is on the ring ropes is beautiful. I like this was like this reminded me of that boxing match before Tyson and Jake Paul, where just like they're just beating the crap out of each other. Like what women? You know, like, I mean, yeah, I love it. So keep that hard. But Hayter wins with the Haterade, her own version of the lariat. And I'll say the whole thing. And then after she wins, the lights go black and there's a spotlight on the stage. No one comes, but everyone knows that's a sign from Julia. What do you think about this whole segment and how it ended?
Thought the match was really good. I enjoyed it a lot. I'm a big Queen Amanada fan. I'm a fan of both these women. I love Jimmy Hayter as well. I understand why Hayter gets the win. I feel like this is one of those spots where they could have given Queen Amanada the win and it wouldn't have been a bad situation. And I think she would have benefited more from a win over Jimmy Hayter than Jimmy Hayter benefits from a win over her. And I want to see her get pushed a little bit more. That being said, I thought she looked really good. That move you're talking about, where she had the shin on the chin of Jimmy Hayter when Amy was on the bottom rope, I thought that came across really good. And Julia Hart, I mean, I like Julia Hart. I mean, I don't know that she's not one that all of a sudden she appears coming back and I'm like, oh, God. Like, it's not like that for me. But, at the same time, like, the women's division is a little down at the moment. And so, I think she can help it. And I do like her. So, that being said, I'm fine with it overall. I mean, I thought the match was really solid.
Sammy?
Thought it was a great match. Jamie Hayter is fantastic, and I look forward to seeing her versus Julia Hart whenever that happens, because that's what they've been building up for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. I'll say this. I do need Queen Amanada to win, though. Like, all right. Yeah. It's too many losses. It's like, y'all did the whole she's good in the feet. All right. It's time for her to win. It's time for her to freaking win.
At least she wins more often than Tatum Paxley.
This might be true. Sammy, if you can. They said this for a tournament or something. What was this match for again? Like a qualifying match? I want to say it was. Am I right or wrong?
That sounds right, but
I feel like they said something before this match, but I did like it wasn't a C2 for women. It was something else. I didn't know what it was.
That's the International Cup.
Yes.
Okay.
That's across different promotions. So and these are the
international title for women.
And I believe there's several representatives for AEW, or they're qualifying to see who's going to represent AEW, because there's going to be women representing Stardom and I guess AEW and a couple others. I guess Mexico maybe, yeah, and I don't know. They said something about New Japan, but I thought Stardom was New Japan's women division, right? Because New Japan doesn't actually have women, so.
Well, I mean,
it's something to do with that.
New Japan does have a women's championship now, but it's fought for by Stardom women.
That's right. So I guess whatever New Japan women are going to be involved as well too. So, yeah. So it's
So definitely
International Cup.
definitely hype that up. Like definitely hype
Yeah,
that
they
up
didn't
for your
do
women.
anything to really hype that up. I mean, they announced the match as being a qualifier, but and then they was like, "Oh, more to come." Well, we'll get into the specifics of that, and they never really did. I mean, they did, but they didn't. Like they talked a little bit more about it, but not
It's
enough.
because they don't have concrete on who's going to be able to be in it because they're bringing women in from other countries, and so it's like, are we going to be able to get Yuka Sakazaki? Are we going to be able to get Riho? Like,
Right.
that's what it's coming down to, and they don't have concrete yet for everybody.
So there you go.
Fair
But
enough.
that's what it is.
Fair enough.
International Cup.
International Cup.
Oh, cup, not title.
No, I think they called it the International Cup.
So it's not going to be a belt.
I guess not.
It'll be a nice trophy though.
What I wasn't clear on is if this is something that AEW is putting together and this is a first time thing, or is this something that they've done in the past and we just haven't heard of it? I mean, is the International Cup something that's already existed? That I was totally unclear about.
Yeah.
So
I mean, other wrestling companies do have cups, and
right.
AEW has the Owen Hart Cup.
Right. I just didn't know if this was something that was an AEW creation, this International Cup, or if this was like something that had been done before and this is maybe the first time AEW was participating, or that's what I wasn't totally sure on. Like it wasn't. I'm trying to see here. So I'm looking here. Hater advances. I see that. So
Okay.
it's AEW announces Wrestle Dynasty International Women's Cup format. Let me see what this says. And it says Jamie Hader advances. And we knew that. Jamie Hader is one step closer to the New Japan Pro Wrestling International Women's Cup final at Wrestle Dynasty, emanating from the Tokyo Dome in January. So let's see. Hader moves on to face Serena Deeb or Willow Nightingale, who will face off December 7th. The winners of those matches and the tournament from AEW, CMLL, Ring of Honor, and Stardom okay. So there's a bracket for AEW, a bracket for CMLL, a bracket for Ring of Honor, and a.
Oh, we can't hear you. Can't hear you. Your mic just went off.
Very 5th. Up.
Yep. It went in, now. It's going in and out.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. All right. Cool. Yes.
Okay. So they're competing for some sort of. They'll be competing on January 5th in some sort of a final. It looks like there's going to be a bracket for each company, maybe, and then like a fatal 4-way or some sort of semifinal where each bracket faces each other in some way, shape, or form. Winner of each bracket. But AEW, CMLL, New Japan, and Stardom.
Fair enough.
So.
All right. Like I said, promote it. Like even if you only got 3 girls in there, promote it.
Promote it.
Either way. Right? So now we have
on TV, not just online.
Yes. Let's be very, very specific. Yes. Yeah, be very specific about that. All right. Now we have a backstage segment with Marina Shirakawa on Full Gear. They had the celebration for Mariah May. And of course, Mariah May turned heel on her best friend. She tried to hit her with the belt, but Maria is too freaking smart for that. She blocks it, hits Mariah May, and gives her a bloody kiss. Not the British bloody, actual blood out her mouth. I'm like, y'all with these bodily fluids, bro. I'm so serious, but I get it. That's what she did with Tony, so it's fine. So on Dynamite, Mariah was like, I always knew this was gonna happen with Mariah. I thought I would be different. I was hoping I'll be different, but you know what? I knew. But now I'm here. It happened. I'm ready to go for Mariah's title. And during this segment, Mariah comes in and beats up Maria Shikara, Mirkara.
Mina.
Okay, so I saw your face. I'm like, if I'm saying it wrong, just say it. You can interrupt me.
Mina. Mina
Mina
Shirakawa,
Shirakawa, and she was like, and so in 3 simple words, Tony wants Mina. All right, so we're getting what we wanted. We wanted this for a couple of months since Mariah's reign. I do have a I need your world heavyweight women's champion on TV more. She is your women's world champion. So I was kind of muffed that this was backstage. I like this should have been in front of the crowd. But that's just me. Maybe it's not just me. Cause what do y'all think?
Oh, I mean, I agree. I mean, women. If I'm not mistaken, the women only had two segments on this show: the match and then this segment. If I'm not mistaken, on this Dynamite. So, which is not enough. I could be missing something, but I'm pretty sure that was it. And I remember thinking to myself, that's not enough. So, and this being just a backstage segment. That being said, I mean, this segment was
we
fine.
had quite a few segments. We had the Mercedes segment, and we had.
Oh, you're right, Camille.
Yeah.
Forgot about that. Camille and Mercedes. Correct.
So 3
and
yeah.
What else?
we had the other one too. I'm spacing on what it was though.
I forgot about the Mercedes and Camille segment, but yeah, okay.
Oh, and we had Marina Shafir as well.
I guess.
Count
Well,
that.
yeah, with the BCC, I guess, or with the Death Riders, I suppose. I don't know that I call that a women's segment, but she was definitely involved in that segment. So, that being said, I had forgotten about the Mercedes Camille segment, but I thought this was fine for what it was. I mean, Mariah, did what she should do, which is come back and attack Mina now, and I think I mean, I don't know that much about Mina Shirakawa, so I'm not, nor do I know anything about their relationship before. So, like, it doesn't do anything. All I have is what I've seen now, and it's okay, but there's not necessarily like a lot of meat on the bone for me yet. But they're building on it, and so I mean, I thought it was fine. I thought it definitely adds a little bit of spice to a very bland title run for Mariah. I mean, I'm now at least a little interested to see what they're gonna do. So yeah, I mean, I think Mina versus Mariah should be really good when they do it.
The only problem is it feels like we've been going all this time waiting for Mina to show up. And it's like, okay, well, here you can finally do the story you've been planning for months, and you didn't have anything until the story.
Yeah.
Is
No, I agree.
But we're finally getting the story
unfortunate.
that they've been planning for months, so hopefully it's a good one.
Right.
Like, and sometimes when you have to wait too long, you gotta pivot, bruh. And not just here's some random matches with random other women. No, an actual other program. You have enough stars.
Yeah, for sure.
But hope
Like,
what are you gonna say, Tim?
I don't care if it was like Penelope Ford. Like, give us a program like for the last 2 months.
And not her versus Anna Jay on Collision. That was like that. Boo. I'm sorry, boo.
Well, that also like that wasn't a feud. That was a match, was it not?
Yes and no. They had the match on Battle of the Belts where Anna Jay beat Mariah for the thing. Then they had a couple of backstage segments, and like that. There you go. They did more with that story than any other person with Mariah.
All right, I guess you can call that a feud.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's been very uninspiring. And so as a result, you get what you get, right? I mean, that title is kind of down at the moment because you haven't really done anything with it. I mean, it's you've got to have a backup plan. I understand that, you have your main thing and things happen, but you've got to be prepared for stuff to happen. I mean, I'm sure you expected Mina to be here the whole time and not go away for 2 months, but just because she goes away doesn't mean you shouldn't have something back. You got to have a plan B. So, and they didn't. And, now we're going to see if plan A works. I mean, we'll see.
Yeah.
It's working so far. I mean, I'm interested so far. So.
Right? Again, just put them on put them in front of the live crowd. And not just on pay-per-view, but for the next pay-per-view.
Right.
That's okay. Right. Now it's time for the main event. Brody King versus Darby Allin getting points for the C2 tournament. Now look, we've seen these people go bout for bout, blow for blow. And even though it might be repetitive, it's still a good time. It's still a good time where it's like they know each other so well. And like they know how to get the crowd started. So Again, Darby's trying to beat Brody King, and Brody King is just like, little man, what are you doing? You know, I'm gonna whoop you up behind. A whole lot of the best tope suicidas of the life, a whole lot of tossing Darby all over the place, and then that freaking bare naked choke that Brody King does on Darby, where it feels like you're really like trying to unalive this man. And it's like, you know he's short. Stop lifting him up to do this freaking move. But all in all, I want to say it ended with the close. Like, tell me if I'm wrong. It didn't end with Darby tapping out. I feel Brody actually clotheslined him for the 1, 2, 3. All in all, Brody King beats Darby Allin. He hit the first 3 points of one of the first 3 points of the night. So Brody King leaves. Darby's on the floor, trying to gather himself up because you got your behind whoop. Here comes Claudio coming through the crowd, seemingly, I'm going to say, trying to beat up Darby, and rightfully so, because he tried to unalive you behind with the car. So I understand this. Like, even though Death Riders are heels, I do understand this. But as Claudio approaches the ring, Brody King comes back and stands in front of Darby. Now, this could be a Brody King turn, but we're getting the next match we're getting for is this the gold brand or the gold brand? Yeah, the gold the gold card is Brody King versus Claudio. They did this last year, and it wasn't hyped enough for me because I love these two people. It's hyped enough now, and I'm full on expecting another banger. I'm excited for this freaking match.
I think
Any
these two are
thoughts?
front runners for the Gold League. I thought that this whole segment was masterfully done. Makes me excited for next week. And the match was fantastic too. Like a perfect main event, in my opinion. Like, like this brought my entire rating of the show up a number grade. Like, that's how good I thought the main event was.
Understandable. AL?
I mean, I probably have a little bit less favorable view of it just because I feel like we've seen it before. I mean, we've seen this match specifically between these two before, and we've seen this match from Darby before. That being said, still a good match. I mean, Darby, has good matches, and Brody King is amazing. So I'm here anytime I get to see Brody King on my TV. I thought that the stuff at the end, is fitting. I mean, there's definitely this Darby Death Riders feud going on and all that stuff, or Claudio and Death Riders, I guess, or Claudio and Darby, I suppose, more specifically. But and then I don't imagine that. I don't think Brody King is turning or anything, and I don't imagine that Darby's joining House of Black at all. I feel it's just one of those things where they have a mutual respect for each other, and Brody King's not going to let Darby just get his ass kicked right in front of him. And House of Black isn't necessarily the biggest fans of the Death Riders either, right? So it's like, okay, if I can get some Death Rider action too at the same time, why not? So I think there's some of that. So I think it just happened to be like a one-off in the moment. But yeah, I mean, Brody King deserves all the push he can get. So I have no
Yes.
problem. I have no problem with him being in the main event of a Dynamite in any way, shape, or form. And Darby Allin's phenomenal at what he does. For me, it's a little formulaic at times when they don't let him have enough offense. And I feel like they do that too often. As CM pointed out before, they have let him have moments where he's had, his ability to be a technical wrestler shine through, and for him to show how good a wrestler he is. It feels like more often than not, they feel like the pocket with him, or he does, whatever the case may be, is to get beat up for 3/4 of the match and then have a little segment where he does what he does and gets the win, which, is what it is. But it feels at times a little formulaic. That being said, I think that Brody King should get the main event spot in the push. I don't know if that doesn't mean that this wasn't, for me overall, maybe a hair underwhelming for a main event of Dynamite. But again, that being said, it is what it is, and I still enjoyed it a lot. I mean, I didn't think that it wasn't bad in any way, shape, or form.
maybe I'm biased because of how high I am on House of Black.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
but like, I'm not the biggest Darby fan. I understand that like he's extremely popular. He's one of the most popular people on AEW though, so I don't mind it. Like, I understand it. I enjoy his matches. He's good. Uh, I'm very high on House of Black though. Brody King is incredible. Like,
Yeah.
personally, my favorites I would say is Buddy, but like I feel like you can't go wrong with any member.
You can't though. You really can't. And like we're talking about the two this whole time. I can't tell you who I want to be in the finals. I just can tell you who don't I don't think should be in the finals. You know, and like I think we're all in agreement. The Beast Mortis should not be in the finals.
That's rough because I love the Beast Mortis. Like it would be such a
I
great
know, but
spot
it
for him. But
shouldn't.
yes, I mean in a tournament where you have an Okada and you got a Kyle Fletcher and you've got an Osprey and you've got Claudio Castagnoli. No matter what bracket you're talking about, the
Right,
Beast
right, right,
Mortis
right.
probably doesn't have any business actually winning. No. I mean,
But like
I hope he
Juice,
gets a couple matches. He shouldn't have a donut hole. I mean, if he gets a
yes,
zero,
yes.
that's a travesty. But I mean, the reality is him and Mark Briscoe are probably there to take mostly losses in their matches, unfortunately. But it is what it is. I mean,
Now, now see on
Um,
the other side, I don't think Juice Robinson should be in the finals. Like I love Juice, but he should not be in the finals. Everyone else is up for grabs. You just make it a good way of how they do it. I'm all here for it. But yes, for
uh,
me,
I mean, if only just because of the other names in it. But if
yes,
it were any other names, like I, I would never have a problem with Juice winning that tournament. It's just when you have an Okada and Osprey and a couple other guys who you built up bigger than him, it doesn't make sense. So for me, it has to make sense, and it doesn't. It wouldn't really make sense. That being said, it's unfortunate because I love Juice. I mean, him and Mortis,
yes,
and Briscoe, all those guys. I mean, all the ones that we're sure are not going to win, they probably deserve better than they're getting ultimately. At the same time, they're in a tournament that's a great platform for them to shine too and get some TV time and all those things. So
I mean, with the tournament last year, like look at how those dudes have progressed from that year to this year. Like,
mhm. Like at least
yeah.
give those guys a good story.
I
I'm
mean,
trying to
last
think
year
of it.
C2 was a good jumping off for a lot of people. I mean,
I'm trying to think of somebody who like came out of the C2, even if they had a bad record, who had a bad year following the C2.
Jay Lethal could have done more with Jay Lethal.
they've always been guilty of that. I mean, and again, I don't know how much of that is him or what, but I mean, I know he's not young, but at the same time, man, that's a dude that's always, I feel like, has always been underrated.
Hmm.
Like Jay Lethal lost with the biggest name to come out of that group is Jeff Jarrett. So like case in point, they didn't really do nothing with Jay Lethal.
Yeah. And for me, like he's one of those dudes that's the you want to talk about a total package. Like, is there anything that dude can't do? Like, he's one of the best promos ever.
Okay.
I mean, in my opinion, his voice is great. I mean, he has one of the best voices of all times. He does great impressions of other people. Like he's funny and he can
Mhm.
wrestle. I mean, in my opinion, he's one of my favorites of all time. And I'm not sure why he never quite got that over the hump type of. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
he's one of the perfect packages for me. When you talk about like a guy that has all the tools.
Hmm.
All right. So that concludes AEW Dynamite from 11. What was it? I can't see. What
Oh
date
yeah,
was it?
11:27.
11:27.
11/27. Um,
11:27.
this was definitely. I'm trying to think about last week. I want to say yeah, this was better than last week. I was definitely high on it this week.
Yeah,
For me, I'll give it a B plus. What are your grades?
yeah. I
I'm
gave this
giving
an
it
A
an A
minus this week.
minus.
Me and Sammy are at the same spot, an A minus this week.
I was at a B plus until the main event, and then I was like, yeah, this is good shit. This is better than last week. A
I
minus.
I didn't think that in a vacuum, like I didn't think that this was that much better than Raw, which I gave a B. I could have given this a B plus. The reason that I gave it an A minus is because it's C2 season, and I like that time of year, and I love the C2, so it gets a little bit of a bump for me just because of that. So, yeah, so that's why I gave it an A
It's the
minus.
most wonderful time of the year.
All right, so I gave it an A minus. Sammy gave it an A minus. You gave it a B plus. That means that we all rated it above Raw and
Mhm.
NXT this week. So this week AEW again gets the winner's circle. Winner's circle spot. We need to actually go out and get one of those sounds so we can play that sound when we actually do this at the end of the show. I'll work on
Why
that.
is it that
But-
post shows are better than go home shows these days?
Yes, I
Yeah,
would say that's
yeah,
true. Post shows
yeah.
have been better than go home shows recently. That's true.
It's not
In
just
any company,
AEW,
yeah.
it's WWE too.
Which, man, that's such a weird thing because, like, I get it both ways. Like, well, I don't get it both ways. Like, you've got to have your go home shows better. You're leading into a show that, in theory, you're expecting people to pay more for, to tune in for on a night when maybe they've got something else going on. And it's even though, you know, it's not quite what it used to be. It's still a spectacle, right? And so
Yeah.
you want people, so your go home shows should really build to that. And then afterwards, after those pay per views, you want to set the stage for the next three weeks to a month for the next pay per view or the next season. So it makes sense. It just, yeah, you got to do better on the go home shows.
Yeah.
All right.
yeah, I agree.
So
Worse this week than it was last week. Like,
say that again. I only caught the second half of that.
I felt like Raw this week was worse than last week's, and this is the go home show.
I don't remember. I think I gave Raw a B last week too. So I think if I'm not mistaken. So I gave it a B this week as well. I mean, I thought it was comparable. But yeah, they need to do better.
For me,
I
I
mean, we
concluded
debated
that.
this, right? I mean,
Yeah,
Anika's made it clear that it's really not SmackDown's a go home show.
I was about to say that. I was just about to say that. Even though the brand split, SmackDown is the official go home show. Even though it shouldn't be, SmackDown's the
Right.
go home show.
Yeah. I mean, it is the Raw go home show, but yeah, I mean, in theory, SmackDown, I guess, that's what they're doing. So, all right. So that brings us to the end of another episode of the Winner's Circle. We are going to get out of here because we're going to be back here in just a few hours, like 5 hours, for Survivor Series watch along. Make sure and come back and join us for that at 3:30 p.m. Pacific, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. In the meantime, let's do tomorrow. You can tune in for Enter the Square Circle. Myself and Sammy Joe, I believe we'll be doing Madden tomorrow. I'm not totally sure, but I think that's the plan as of now. But make sure the best way to make sure that you know what's going on is to have that bell set for notifications on the YouTube channel, because you will get a notification when we're about to put something up and when we're going to go live tomorrow for Enter the Square Circle. Excuse me. Hold on for just 1 second.
You're good.
Oh, man. Ooh. And then Tuesday nights, we're live for the cookout where we all come together and talk about what's cooking up in the world of professional wrestling. 7:30 p.m. Pacific, 10:30 Eastern. I believe this Tuesday will be the first night of the Horsey Awards. Not I believe, I know it will be the first night of the Horsey Awards. We're going to decide right after this which awards we'll be doing at this episode of the Cookout, the first episode of the Horsey Awards, and I'll post it on our social media prior to Tuesday's episode of the Cookout, so you can be prepared to know which categories we are doing on Tuesday. Then on Friday nights, we're here for Friday Night Fights, where Anika and Sammy Joe watch SmackDown and Rampage or whatever other pay-per-views are on. Like last night, I was watching Turning Point while Anika was watching SmackDown, and there was no Rampage last night. So, but usually every Friday night, we are here for SmackDown and Rampage starting at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, where they watch it in real time and give you the real-time reactions and opinions to the show. Then Saturday mornings, which are here with us now for Winner's Circle, where myself, Anika, and Sammy Joe come together and talk about review Raw, NXT, and Dynamite, and pick pick our grade each show and pick our favorite show from the week. They'll try to get the best grade for the week. And then Saturday nights, we have Saturday Night Is All Right, our Collision watch along. There won't be one tonight. I don't think there'll be one tonight. In theory, we could watch Collision at the same time that we're watching Survivor Series, but I don't think CM will be here. So I have a feeling we'll probably just be watching Survivor Series. But just so everybody does know, the Collision does start actually at 1 p.m. Pacific, which is 2 hours before Survivor Series. But then Rampage is on during Survivor Series. So Collision does start at 1 p.m. Pacific today, 4 p.m. Eastern, and then they have Rampage right after Collision. So make sure you can watch that prior to as well as during Survivor Series. But make sure and join us for our Survivor Series watch along here. I don't know exactly. We may tune in and try to catch Rampage 2 or the end of Collision, depending on how it works out time wise. So you can catch the audio version of the cookout. If you don't have time to sit and watch, or you just rather listen, you can catch it on these audio platforms where they have your podcasts. And then if you scan this QR code, where to go? That QR code, if you scan it, it will take you to it'll take you to Linktree, where you can get to all of our social media, and you can see behind us, those are all the places where we're at. We're at everywhere, including Blue Sky. Just Workhorse Wrestling Network is now on Blue Sky, so make sure and give us a follow there. So I think that's everything, unless anyone has anything else to say. I'll take that down. I will take this down. Remind everyone to just come back at 3:30 Pacific, 6:30 Eastern for Survivor Series. I don't know exactly who will be here, but someone will be here to watch Survivor Series with you. So until next time, peace.
Bye.